ThunderCats!
Thunder! Thunder! Thunder!
Hey, how are you? I'm Larry Kenny, the voice of Lion-O, here today for my good friends Ryan and David. You may know if you listen to the podcast Radical Retro Rewind.
I love it. All of it.
Radical Retro Rewind.
She even looks older.
Likes my art collection?
Yeah, we've heard that one before, Mummy.
What is it? I heard him shout.
Oh yeah, ThunderCats! Ho!
Who you calling a hoe?
Welcome back, Bunglers, to another episode of ThunderCats Reviews, brought to you by the Radical Retro Rewind podcast. As always, I am your host, joined by everyone's favorite brother and mine, David. And today, not only do we have our friend and returning co-host, Zack, but we have an amazing special guest, Dennis J. Woodyard, an Emmy-nominated animation producer, director, writer, and storyboard artist, whose career has included everything from storyboarding and character design to production supervision. ThunderCats fans know him for his work as writer and character designer on the series, including episodes like The Shadow Master and today's Well of Doubt. He's also the creator and designer of Dragonfly Flips books, and we're so beyond excited to have him here today. Dennis has just been amazing the last few months leading to this episode today. We were thrilled the day that we opened YouTube and saw comments from Dennis. We feel like this is just a full circle moment for ourselves. So welcome, Dennis. Thank you so much for being on the show today.
I really appreciate you inviting me on. This is, I feel the enthusiasm that you and other fans have for the show after all these years is very humbling, really.
And you have been so giving. We want to mention that Dennis's website, by the way, he has an incredible website, but he also has an incredible YouTube, which we will be having in the description box wherever you're listening to this. If you're on YouTube, we'll have the link below. And if you're listening to this on Spotify or Apple, it will also be there. But you have a treasure trove, Dennis, that you have been giving fans. And we just thank you for that, first off, because you're sharing history, as we were talking off camera earlier. It's just this history, and we're just so thankful that you're preserving it for fans.
That goes without saying.
You're welcome. I can point you to, have you read the book Here to Roar?
Yes. Matter of fact, do we both?
Do we both? Yeah. Yes. That is a fantastic book. I was actually surprised because I did as many other the artists like Peter Lawrence and Bob Kemp, and these guys were also involved in the book. I didn't know it was going to be that extensive.
Yes.
Okay. I expected a little bit, yeah, sure, fine. It took me, I guess, a year or so after after the book came out to finally buy it, and I started reading through it. I said, hey, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. And he did such a nice, he was so welcoming, and actually I was in contact with him by email a couple of weeks ago. He was so generous in his praise for the stuff that I had done. Warner Brothers is missing an opportunity. They don't take this book and just add all the artwork that's floating around that they have and make it into a making of ThunderCats. Like I see my friend Larry Houston has a book that was like the making of X-Men and X-Men #7, which he's being involved in. It's like, why aren't you doing that?
Yes.
The book's already been written. You can add the other stuff if you want and I think the book actually goes into like ThunderCats.
The update.
To 20.
You're right, Dennis. It does. I want to say it was an update maybe later on, but yes.
Yeah, mine doesn't have it, but yours does.
Mine does have Roar in the back.
And so it's like the text is already there. Yes. Or you got to fill it out with the art, while we're still alive.
I mean, it's true. I mean, this is, and we say it all the time on this show, but this series 40 years later, now 41, we're going into
you're dating. Thank you,
but again, we mentioned off screen, Dennis looks beautiful, amazing, ageless. We talked about ageless earlier. It's something that fans would devour. The art of these, I mean, just seeing things that Dennis has posted alone on his blog, we just love it. So yes, the demand is there, definitely.
Absolutely. That goes without saying.
I just wanted to open up with a question, and that you probably have been asked this before, but are you still shocked at the attention that you've received from people about ThunderCats, or the amount of love that you've received, or the fact that these podcasts and all the things that are coming out 40 years later?
Well, yes and no. I mean, since I've sort of kept abreast of animation and comic book progression, not as heavily. I don't go to the comic book shop every week or something like that. I'm always surprised by when I see ThunderCats and the fact that they're doing another version of it. Again, in my career, I was at Warner Brothers working on a show called Ozzy and Drix. Ozzy and Drix is like the TV show version of Osmosis Jones. But they changed the character to a 13-year-old boy instead of a middle-aged man. So it's a different feel to it, but it's very good. And actually, I worked on the first season as a storyboard revisionist, but then I got tapped by Ron Myrick, the director, to be a co-director, the storyboard director, with another man, Del Barris. And that's what we earned an Emmy nomination for this show. But when I was there, I ran into a guy called DeSantos. His last name was DeSantos. Actually, he ended up being the director for Airbender.
Airbender, yes. Wow.
TV show. Well, he came up with a version of the ThunderCats. Again, you can see it on my blog. He had a revised version of ThunderCats. But at the same time, Warner Brothers said they were going to revive ThunderCats. And Warner Brothers called Peter Percalion, the old producer on ThunderCats, to ask him who had the rights to ThunderCats. Peter had to politely tell him that they had the rights for the past 10 years. And they didn't know.
No kidding.
So during my time at Warner Brothers, Wildstorm came out with a ThunderCats comic.
Yes.
If you look at that first issue, it features the Shadow Master.
Yes.
It has the Shadow Master. I didn't know that was happening either. I just happened to go in the comic shop. They said, oh, here's the first issue of I was a guest at a comic shop. He handed me the first issue. And my jaw dropped, said, that's my character. If you open up to the splash page on the comic, it has it's flashing the Key of Thundera, the dragons that's in the temple, and Pyron.
Yes.
All of my character in that comic. And I actually, by just luck, I found one page of that comic, and I bought it. That had the page of Shadow Master.
Wow.
I mean, it's that kind of stuff. It's like, okay, I guess this thing is keep going.
Yeah.
I remember when that comic came out and just seeing because they really did just open it with how the final season ended.
Yes.
They really wanted it to feel continuous. And so, all those characters you designed at the end of season 4 made an appearance, and it made it feel real.
And here's the thing. You guys always say season 4, and I never think of it as that.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It's just...
How do you think about it?
The last season. That's it. Because I came in, like I said, at 97 and at 96. So it's just, to me, it's just the last season. I don't know. I don't remember it being split up in 4 seasons, but I guess it might have been.
I think it's sort of the way the fandom has decided to. Well, parts of the fandom have decided.
What are you?
That's right. That's so true. Because there was a time where we had no real information. We were just collecting it and describing.
And part of the thing is, it's not that I'm cheap or anything, but I never bought the whole series.
Yeah.
I don't. In fact, up here, I have season 1, volume 1, and season 2, volume 2. And this starts from
the memories of those.
Well, no, this has Exodus, but Exodus. So I don't know what number Exodus is.
It's the first one.
Is it?
Yeah.
I don't have volume. There's a volume 2, a season 1, volume 2. I don't have.
Yeah.
That was something that even when we started this podcast, we didn't know, because it is split to, people say, 2 full seasons, or that modern 3 and 4 as well. So it has been,
right.
Yeah, just like Zack said, I think it's split down the middle of what people think. Yeah, we still don't know.
And it's funny that how it was received by the audience, because we've talked to people in Europe that only saw certain seasons and didn't see other parts. Only saw the early parts and didn't see the other, and they don't even identify with the newer ThunderCats as even part of the whole universe. They're like, we don't even know who they are. Right. So it's funny. It's just really funny how it all played out.
And because the Return to ThunderCats that I worked on was sort of like a rewriting of it. It used a different format where it had basically a hero of the episode, new villain. Every villain, it was a new villain every episode. So you weren't having a continuity that you had the earlier episodes where it was either the Lunatics or the what was the other one?
Mutants, right? Mutants.
So people don't recognize, this. I'm surprised that people really want like Zax and Yagara. No one knew them. Some people didn't see them, but they're my children. I want them out there.
So, that's a perfect opportunity to bring that up. We recently discussed in our last episode with our Zack that Yagara was coming out as well as Zax. And we were so thrilled knowing that these were characters that you created. And the fact that they are in the same wave is just amazing.
Yeah. Like I say, I'm really hoping for Shadow Master because I have a part of my toy collecting thing is I don't call myself a collector because I'm not a completist. Yes. I'm a serial accumulator. As you can see, I will get into a jag of certain things I will collect for a while and then peter off. But the ThunderCats stuff, I only had about 4 or 5 actually from the original set. Yes. I had Lion-O, and I had a couple of mutants. I had Wily Cat, I believe, and Panthro, and a Jatara. I think I have a Jatara. But, no friends gave them to me, or I bought them oddly once, and I stuck on a shelf down in my basement for a while. But now that all these new versions are coming out, I'm resisting buying them all. But I've come up with a gimmick, or at least for myself, is like I've posted the video for Cloudus and Lion-O from Shadow Master.
Yes.
That's what I'm hoping for, a Shadow Master toy, a figure, so I can duplicate some of the scenes in the show.
Oh, that would be wonderful.
Yes,
that would be wonderful.
That's when we were kids playing. That's all we wanted to do was recreate those scenes.
So
it's very relatable.
It's like if they ever called me, I would tell Super 7, hey, why don't you have a Claudius in the crystal?
Yes.
How hard is it to make a crystal?
Yes.
Honestly,
it's iconic at this point for a lot of ThunderCats fans. That look of him with his glowing eyes in the crystal.
Yeah. So there's plenty of stuff they can do. I think they really missed and maybe they'll bring it out though. The mirror waif.
Yes.
The little doll and Leia, because that little doll is like a Chucky.
we love, and speaking of gargoyles, the mirror wraith is a fantastic character.
Yeah. And he predates gargoyles. That's the great thing. And I'm going to put up a video, you guys who really like, you've missed something with the Leia episode. When the mirror waif terrorizes Panthro and Snarf, he grabs Snarf from behind. And it's very suggestive.
And usually this is something we would have picked up on. So I'm shocked that we didn't.
I just happened to come across that seat that I had it to put in my video. I said, I remember looking at that in review and said, I don't know. You might have to put on that one.
Yeah, and Stark calls him a mirror. He says, "Put me down, you mirror creep." Yeah. It's like Stark even recognizes it. It's a little creepy.
Yeah.
Well, he had no pants on,
That's true. We wanted to ask you why doesn't he have heat?
Now we know, actually. Maybe now we know.
He's very good with that too, man. So that to me was like, that's, although that was I gotta say, for the censors, that had to be we had to be very careful about that. Of course, you're talking about child endangerment. Yes. You're talking about the whole moral of the story was don't listen to strangers, type of thing. So,
I am.
But just the toy set, it's like, hey, you got a little Chucky toy there, guys. Make use of that. Make his eyes glow, and
a 3-pack, a mirror wraith, a little Leah, and the doll. Right. That would be fantastic, actually.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe they'll get there. I don't. Like I say, I have no connection with Super 7, so maybe they're already planning that out. In years to come.
You never know.
But we'll see. We'll see.
That episode, I've always really loved that episode, and I collect animation cells. I've been doing it for many years, but the first cell I ever bought was, I want to say back in like 2006, and I bought it from used. And I have it here.
Oh, good.
It started my collecting. It's Leah and the doll in bed.
Thank you. Giving this such a good home.
Oh yeah, it continues to be one of my favorites. But I
Yeah.
have some others that I think maybe were yours. I'm not sure.
Probably, if they're from the same time.
Yeah, it's like
Are we authenticating right now? Is this the Antique Roadshow?
Yeah.
another one from Ben.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
mine.
awesome.
And one from Well of Doubt.
Oh,
That's
So amazing.
Yeah.
That's super
that
cool.
again a full circle moment.
Because it was that time. It was a time when I had them and I was moving around and said, "What am I doing with these things?" So I tried to keep some of them.
Yeah.
I only have like 5 or 6 left. One from Well of Doubt and several from Shadow Master.
Mhm.
Somehow, I mean, I know I sold Zack's, and I don't have his original drawing. I have a very preliminary first drawing with him with a tiny head, like Avis.
That Ibis had a different head.
Yeah, Ibis head, yeah. But you can see the beginnings of the other head at the bottom of the drawing, which I basically based it on Foghorn Leghorn, the Looney Tunes character.
That is amazing. Yes, that was amazing.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Dennis, did you also, correct me if I'm wrong, design Toontown and the paintings, as we were calling it, Toontown? It's like we were in Roger Rabbit, but yes, gorgeous idea.
Yes. I
Yeah,
did.
that's awesome.
I did. But there were supposed to be 4
Yeah.
panel, and I had that in the video. What I liked about that is that I had some inside jokes there.
When we talked about Malkar, we talked about this. They're very funny.
There's his Boomba was one.
Which is genius.
That was his. And Cleopatra. Cleopatra was the other.
Love
Which
it.
is perfect for ThunderCats.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. I think I hope if I get off my lazy ass, I would paint those.
Oh.
End up painting those again because this made me laugh. I wanted to see those in the show so bad, because in the script they actually asked for the 4 panels, and that's why I did it. But they end up making it just the one. What's the third character?
There's probably so many things that they're just lost to time.
We
If it
even
wasn't for you, Dennis, or people like you preserving.
We even talked about this. This could have been a play set. Like
Yes,
a set,
yes,
like a
like
set
a-
would
like
have
a-
like this
Yeah.
would have been like
all of the
amazing.
portraits, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the 4. I mean, just the 4 panels. Oh, here we go. Okay, there was. Oh yeah, Squawk King.
Squawk
King. King. And it looks like a bird.
Oh my god, gorgeous.
That's super cool.
And that was one of my, I kept the one cell with the Malgar panel. It was covered up with him like a more graphic look, but the actual painting of that background is so beautiful. And it's all, of course, done in watercolor. So that's one of my treasures.
Dennis, when you came on the show around, in show 96, can you talk about how you started? And I know you didn't start with characters, right? You started with...
No, I didn't start with characters because they were sort of already ahead in some of the episodes. I started with background because I don't have 96 video. So the first show I started was the Totem of Daru.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's 96.
So yeah, I started doing, I think this ended up in one of the toys for Super Saiyan.
Yes.
As a
Yeah,
prop.
all the treasures, almost all the treasures you designed have been made into toys.
Yeah.
Oh,
The
look at
little-
Vulture Man.
That one. Oh, this is a generic Thunderian. That was one of my first characters for that, from 96.
Oh my goodness.
Then this was the Swamp Demon, a Tendril. He actually paid me to do this right now.
And you did it amazingly.
And I did it. I was doing a lot of the props because they were using characters they already had. So a shield and staff, simple things like that.
Were you...
And the Wraith, I guess, was this Wraith was a different one than the other.
Wow, very different.
That was the other character did. Yeah.
When it came to designing props, were you instructed to put ThunderCat symbols on everything?
I think that was sort of a given.
Okay.
It was a sort of a given to put it in there somewhere, I mean,
We like to joke about how everything in the ThunderCats world is branded.
Panthro, we always say, is working overtime. So
well, they do the same thing on Superman. I mean, he's probably on his underwear too.
right.
Come on.
you're right.
Why hasn't Superman got a big S on his bust?
The cape, the underwear, yeah, everything embroidered.
Yeah, the whole thing, you know?
When you came on, how were you like onboarded? Like, were you presented with old episodes or old materials? How did they get you up to speed on?
I was called by, like I said, I was called by Peter Picayune. He said I was recommended by an artist at the Galaxy Rangers, Ed Lee. It was an excellent storyboard art, character designer. But he just wasn't interested in the show. I think he had other things going on. I came on board and they explained to me, what we want you to do is, besides drawing, we see you have your background in production of animation. So I was also charged with, when I wasn't drawing something, was reviewing work pictures that came back from Pack Animation and listing the mistakes. Because again, back then we were working in film, and you got cells that you have. If there was shooting mistakes, that would be my job to write down the barcode of the videotape and then pass those off to Lee Doniker, the producer, who would decide if it was worth it to have them reshot or not. Because it was an expensive thing to do.
Imagine.
I mean, I could show you the cells on some scenes, like Well of Doubt. I have one that I save. I really love it because it's Baron Tass is at the Well of Doubt with the two giants behind him. It's actually 6 levels of animation cell. So if you're shooting that scene and it's moving, you're shuffling 6 cell levels every shot. So that means you're putting it down, you're shooting maybe 2 clicks of it, shoot it on 2s as we called. So it's 24 frames a second. You're shooting 12 images. 1, 2, change, 1, 2, change. But you're changing 6 cell on a peg. So that's a lot of work. So you didn't want to go back and reshoot anything if you could help it. But that was my job, was when those things came in. And I was doing that not just for ThunderCats, but I was also doing retakes for Silverhawks and the comic strip and all those shows. That was part of my production side of it. In between, eventually they said, hey, could you handle some of these design things for us so we don't have to go get freelance guys? I said, sure, I could do that. So, I presented some drawings. And my first drawings got rejected by some of them because they had too much of a sci-fi look from Galaxy Rangers. Oh. So I had to learn to, I did go through the show. I did go through our back episodes so I can catch up. A lot of it I didn't really retain, but, enough of it. Because that's how, when I started to, when Peter asked me to write later on, I had to go back and see what happened to Cloudus. And it was never explained. You never showed him that he died. It's just like it was left on. So that opened the door to the fact that he could be grabbed by some bad guy like the Shadow Master and come back. Yes. Like Jaga, you knew died and became the spiritual blah, 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 floating around, haunting you like, hey man, what are you doing? Yeah. Like,
always watch
that. Yeah, always watching like, you are creepy. You're creeping me out. And stay away from Chikasa. That's what I'm telling you. So I did go through to try to keep, what's going on. Because some of this actually going back to Shadow Master, my original ideas for Shadow Master was to use a Loro. And it was supposed to be a cape that a Loro would use. Or it was the Thunder Kittens found the cape and started fooling around with it and caused mischief with it. That was some of my original thoughts for it. But then they said, yeah, get that.
It sounds like something they would have done, definitely. I could definitely see them doing that.
But I always had, the idea the cape was, to me, his cape was actually the hero of the show. Because that's where all the strength, all the powers and the mysteries is coming from, was his cape. It's like a magician's cape. It's like instead of a rabbit coming out of your hat, you had a demon coming out of your cape. So that was a part of that. But so I was doing more than just drawing. I wasn't just drawing all the time, because in animation, you do have these lulls when there's a lull between the show's bought, and then you have to have time for, artists aren't brought on immediately for any production. It's usually you got to go for writers are coming in to sort of write scripts, and you got to get into a flow where, okay, the writers are finished the script. So now we can bring in the designers and the artists to start working on, the designs for it. In our case, since it's all done overseas at PAC, we weren't doing storyboards there. We didn't do the storyboards in-house. It was already being done in specific animation, and we get the storyboards and make notes on the storyboards, usually Lee and Peter. And I think I got to make notes later on, just to see how things were working out. And then that goes back to them to do the animation, do the designs. And I felt very actually, I say it quite often, it's like they were such a well-oiled machine by the time I came on. I only had to do rough drawings. They weren't really tightly finished. They were finished enough that they could see what was going on. And I'm very proud that I could see them. They made some of my things much better. Their version of Mutt as Mum-Bat is better than my original. You know, mine was kind of weak, but they really did with the wings of it. They made it much better. I was happy when I saw one of my favorite besides Shadow Master is Two Time.
Yes.
His introduction when he bursts out and he tumbles towards you. I did not imagine that at all. I mean, they just said, hey, make sure he has two heads and, you know, his arms can move so he can be upside down. But the action they did just blew me away. And that's also the scene where the young Thunderian shows up.
Yes.
This tour. He didn't have a name then. He didn't have a name in that show. He was just young Thunderian with a family, where we gave him a name tour in Well of Doubt. And we used it. Yeah.
Did you coin that name?
Yes.
Great.
Yes, I did. But yeah, it's and their production, again, Rankin Bass had a different kind of production since the storyboarding and those things weren't in-house. It was a little bit different than what I experienced in California and also before with the Galaxy Rangers, where we were doing storyboards and stuff in-house. And you would have the production of the characters, design of the characters were in-house. The normal way is you have your writing, then you have your directing of, you have to take the script and you have to break it down into characters, props, and layouts. And those are the things you give to the artist. In this case, it was just a single sheet that they gave me saying, okay, we know Pacific Animation's going to do the backgrounds. We need these props. We can have you, Dennis, you can do these props, and we need one new character. You know, you can draw that character, but we already have the other stuff they already have. You don't have to worry about it. And even for the backgrounds, I did pencil drawings for the backgrounds. I didn't have to do any color. Pacific Animation did all the color. And there were some backgrounds like the one with the dragons and the background, that one, they did that background. I only had to do the dragons on the call. And they did the other stuff. So a lot of stuff they handled, you know. Where in other productions where I was producer or director or on the team, a lot of that was done in-house. You had a prop design, props designed in-house. You had backgrounds designed in-house, layouts, you know, usually a major big scene, like the interior of a room. And then there would be props for stuff that's going to be used. Someone's going to touch it or throw it around. You had that, you know, the vehicles, you had to have how the vehicles worked, how people got in and out of them, stuff like that. And you did all that in-house. Then you had someone color it and make color models of them, you know, or color guides. And on those guides usually had a number. Back in those days, it would be, if you know it's going to be painted, you had a certain, we call them cartoon colors, and they had a number on it, a code on it that you would mark off for the characters. And the characters usually only, like now that you can do millions of colors, so it doesn't matter. But then if you look at the characters, it's usually a color, flesh.
Yeah, of course.
Different. Flesh number 1, no, flesh number 2. And it would be a shadow. So the shadow had to have a color too. And everything like a jacket or something like that might be one base color and then a shadow color. Keep it simple. And you try not to do too much because someone physically had to paint those things. This is not a point and click operation. So that's what I mean when you call it a mistake or something. If I called a mistake on something, it would take days for them to really reshoot it and then get it, you know, weeks before we get it back, you know. So we decide and there's mistakes in the show. You decide what is worth reshooting or what not reshooting. And again, that was my job, was to point those things out and we decide yes or no. And there's a couple of them that you'd be shocked. But I don't know the name, what background it was, but there was a background that came through ThunderCats, and it was a desert background and it had stalactites in it. And when it came to us, the first drawings, I said, they all look like penises.
Again, something I'm surprised wasn't brought up on his show.
No, but I went to Lee Doneker and I said, I'm sorry, what does these look like to you? And she said, oh, gee, I think we should change this. Yeah, I think we should too. So we had to write them, say, look, don't make them this shape. I said, no, when we paint them, they won't look like that. I said, they're going to look like that no matter what. Now, you got to change them. They changed them to make it more like boulders on top of each other. So, like the painted desert type thing. But yeah, that was one. There's 2 times female genitalia was in the background of the show.
No kidding.
It wasn't ThunderCats. Yes, it was a ThunderCat, but it was in the ceiling, a mumm-ra's ceiling. If you look, I stopped it for one frame, and in a certain light, I said, what? And another one was
Mumm-ra's secrets. Now we know what's going on in that tomb. How he's painting his ceiling.
Not ThunderCat, in
Yes.
Silverhawks with Bizarrely's castle. He had a big sort of round window.
Yes.
But the full frame of that window, it looked like female genitalia. And I said, no, it must be my imagination. So I'm in the review room. I froze the frame, and I went to our receptionist and another 2 production people. I said, ladies, please step into my room.
Something to show you.
Yeah. What does that look like? And they both gasped. Wow. Oh my God. But the funny thing is, it didn't show because Lee was in Tokyo approving shots, and it got
Oh, so it's too late.
It was too late. I wrote to her, saying, this is what. She said, never mind. It's already passed. Okay.
Nothing to see here. Nothing to see here.
I'm getting very Little Mermaid, the original VHS cover with the castle.
Exactly.
This
Exactly. But it's animators. It's notorious for doing that. Putting stuff off in the sides so the picture, and so somehow someone sees a full frame and freaks out. Hey, Wednesday. We get bored. So that stuff. So it
happens.
I could imagine.
It happens. Yeah. Well, it happens intentionally because I worked on Stripperella.
Oh yes, I remember that being a huge launching thing for that network.
And Lee's Stripperella. I worked on the 2nd season of that. That was it was on late at night. I forgot what cartoon.
Was it Spike Network or something like that? It was like a man's network or something. Spike TV or something.
Yeah, Spike TV. You're right.
I believe they brought back Ren and Stimpy the same time or something like that. It was similar.
Yes, they did.
Yes.
Stripperella. So it was the 2nd season of this with Pamela Anderson.
Yep.
There you go.
Yes.
Funny thing is, a lot of times she didn't do the voices. She was off somewhere. Somebody else had to do her.
That is hysterical. Oh my goodness.
So yeah, I actually did because I was storyboard artist, and the way they had the story structured is there was an opening scene sometimes, like a stinger would be like it's separate from the story. And I did a great one for one of them, and I did a story comparison video that I put on YouTube, and it got flagged. It got flagged for music. So I couldn't keep it up. But I still have it. And someday I'm going to find a way of putting it back up there. Either I have to make a slideshow of it without the music, whatever. But in that show, they were always pushing the envelope. Really pushed the envelope. To one point, I had to walk into a director. I wasn't a director on it. I was just a storyboard artist. But they had a black stripper character, and there was a model sheet of her on her stripper pole with her baby on her tip.
Oh no! My goodness.
And I said, you can't do that.
God, yeah.
I don't think you want to go there.
Yeah.
They asked me, it's like, were you going to quit over this? I said, no, I'm not. I'm close to it, but no, you don't want to do that. And they took the shot out.
God.
They took the shot out because it was just like way over the top. But there were other things like that. We had one sequence that's actually very funny. A friend of mine did the storyboard of it, and the shot was Stripperella had this. Her boss was very inappropriate. And he had a meeting with her when he's in the steam room, and the camera was basically under his towel as she came in, because she walks into the room and is like, oh, geez, here, boss, you called me. And the guy who did, I won't use his name because I don't want him to be embarrassed by it, but it was a great storyboard because he had the camera with, you see the towel, the edge of the towel's at the top of the frame.
I still can't get over Mumm-ra's ceiling. Are you going to
be going back?
One day on a rewatch, I'll see it.
And there's always stuff like that in animation shows.
Oh my goodness.
You mentioned Danica a couple of times, and we've heard so many wonderful stories about her. And I know she's no longer with us. Okay. She passed away a few years ago. I'm curious. I'd love to hear more about what it was like to work with her.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Peter will tell you this, and anybody. She was the heart and soul. She was the heart and soul of the show. She controlled everything, She was at all the recordings, got all the guys together, and there was just a lot of craziness. But Lee was the one. She was the more than Rankin and Bass. Lee was the one that saw the show through, and it was a wonderful experience. So not much more.
I'm glad that Zack did bring Lee up because it is these, again, people like Dennis who are behind the scenes that don't get the focal point. And I'm so glad that, Zack did bring you brought, Yeah.
In fact, when she passed away, I made sure the Animation Union has a day of remembrance. So I had a friend of mine who was also a friend of Lee's and was still in California, write a remembrance and say it at that annual remembrance. That she should be recognized for being a great contributor to the legacy of animation.
Beautiful.
It's amazing.
Oh, well, maybe you may have talked about this with Peter. This like Rankin Bass Company picnic story. Did this come up when you talked to Peter?
It did come up with Peter. What about it?
Okay. Well, we don't need to talk about it here if you already talked about it there.
Yeah, we did. Peter was amazed. Peter was kind of amazed that I could hit a ball. He was. He'll tell you that. He says I got up to bat and I hit it so far and so high. He grabbed the garbage can, was trying to catch the ball with it. It's like, Peter, I did play. I wasn't a sports guy, but I could hit a ball.
Better than I ever could. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it was fun. And unfortunately, that's some of the few pictures I have of the crew. Well, us all together. It was at the picnic picture, and I have one shot of me with Arthur Rankin, Lee, Masaki, and Chuck Hasagawa. And that's the only shots we had, really. Because they did, CBTV was going to be the last show that he tried to do. It was a hybrid talk show and segment show called CBTV. And I have that video on. It's very funny because it's one of my best stories. It's a CBTV. I actually designed the TV set. And that's why I wish I had at least gone through one. They did a pilot, but they made it. But I didn't, I was never on the set because I was still working on other stuff to get out the last shows. But when I told this to Peter, he didn't know much about this, but when that show came back, Masaki didn't want to do it. He obviously they're getting lowballed as far as price because Universal had Lomar had been bought by Warner Brothers and they were wanting to cut the budgets and this and that. So he's trying to find ways of doing a cheap show, which was to do half live action and half animated segments. And so one of the animated segments was puppet animation, actually. And they had licensed independent comics that they were doing these little animated, limited animation segments for. One of them was called California Girls by Tina Robbins, a famous comic book person. And the other one was Captain Keen. And then there was Radio Boy, which was slightly racist, but that's okay because it was like a Japanese, it was a take. I will say what they were trying to do was a takeoff on badly dubbed Japanese movies, sci-fi movies that we would get. That's what they were trying to do with Radio Boy. Actually, it was my favorite. But when we did the pilot, they did all the animation, and it came back. We sat in a conference room with Arthur Rankin. It was only a 20-minute show. We watched it at a half-hour show. Arthur Rankin, everything is silent. End credits roll. He turns around and says, "We got nothing. We got nothing. This is horrible. No. We got nothing." He said, "But I have to go out and sell this. I have to go out to California and get on the plane and try to sell this to Warner Brothers. I'll just tell them that this is just a first draft. It's just, animatic first draft of it."
That's a town within itself.
California, and they tried to sell it. When he came back and said, "They hate our guts. We're closing the show."
Wow.
So that's how I saw it ending. It's like he went out there and just when he came back, he just said, "Those California people want nothing to do with us. They don't like us. So let's just close it up."
My goodness.
Wow.
So, yep. That's obviously Mandora in the red.
Yeah.
So that's funny. Matter of fact, Dennis, I read, correct me if I'm wrong, that Mandora is one of your favorite characters, at least recurring characters?
It is. It is. I wanted to do stories with Mandora, but I really, she was on the circus train episode, and I did get to design that guy. But yeah, she was. I guess because she reminded me more of the sci-fi character, like from Galaxy Ranger, you know.
She definitely has that.
Although she's
like sci-fi vibe.
She fit more into she fit more in the
I could definitely. We're still debating she's a Cyclops or not.
Yeah, that's actually what we've been joking
Never
for
take
years.
the visor off.
Yeah, under the visor, is she a Cyclops?
That would be very funny.
And what a reveal, right? After all these years.
Although she'll give you a ticket for anything. I swear, and she's got to hit that quota.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And it also might have been because, have you ever heard of Ruby the Galactic Gumshoe?
That sounds so familiar.
No.
You got to look it up. On my YouTube channel, I did. It was a radio play that used to run in the 80s. I found about it in the 80s, and it's still going on. And I tried to get a license to it to do an animated series of it. So I have that on my dime a dozen scripts.
Oh, look at that.
But it was a whole series of first cassettes and then CDs, and they're still going strong. It's called ZBS Foundation. They're in New York State, and it's a wonderful. Did you ever see the TV show?
Yes.
Do you remember that at all?
Very.
It is actually on the same level as Lex.
And I haven't thought of that show in years as well. But yes, I used to, on the Sci-Fi Channel, they used to have that on here.
Well, definitely look up Ruby the Galactic
Wow, it's
Gumshoe.
a cyberpunk science fiction radio drama, and now it's a podcast. So it's how it's changed over the years. That's fantastic. It keeps up with the times.
You should definitely check it out. You'll like it. The characters are quirky. There's good music to it. I'm a big fan of it. And actually, on my wall here, I have...
Amazing.
Hold on a sec. This is like the original DVD art.
Oh.
Right?
Oh, I love the colors.
So, and it's up, this is number 1. I think they're up to episode 15 of them. And they're several hours long. Because they used to be like drive time adventures. So to be on for like 10 minutes in the afternoon or something like that. But I actually saw them from an ad in a old comic buyer's guide, which was a comic book, is a tabloid comic thing. It was like an ad in there, and they had this picture. And I said, that looks interesting, so I'll order it. And I ordered, I think it was Ruby 2, and really fell in love with it. But I have a vinyl record set of it that they used to send to the radio companies, the radio stations, to broadcast it. And it would happen to be on eBay. I said, I have to have it. So I won the auction for it. But I wanted to make a animated series of it, so I put together a little package and also did an animatic of the first episode, the soundtrack of the first episode. So that's on my YouTube channel. But I also turned it into a flip book.
Super cool.
You know, a flip book series of them. So, I might try to do that again, go back to those guys and say, look, I talked to a guy who had the rights to it in California when I was there, and I had it for several years, but then it lapsed. And I don't know if they haven't seemed like they've done anything with it since. So, but I'd like to at least do that first episode as a flip book with my format. That's something that's on my mind.
And again, we'll have the link to Dennis's YouTube to check out that, and his blog and website as well. So again, listeners, please check that out, because it's a treasure trove. The treasures of Thundera.
well, it's my archives, basically. That's why I started doing the YouTube channel as sort of a digital archives, because I stick stuff in my basement and my shelves and stuff like that, but it was unorganized. So let me just organize stuff so I can find it at least in short order. That type of thing. So, and it was free. I never tried to do the whole thing of trying to monetize. In fact, it was monetized, but then they're always changing the requirements, so it's not monetized. And it's like, I don't care. I have fun. It's like a hobby. I have fun making the videos, and I even make gaming videos of some of the games I play.
I love that.
And I call myself the mature gamer. It's one of my playlist, or like collecting the toys. I'm a serial accumulator of toys. So
I feel that. Very random.
Yeah, so I mean, that's what I have. Like you have all the toys behind you, in your background. I have comics. I have 13 boxes of comic books in my cellar that I tried to sell 3 times, and guys just ghost me. And I had some from the 60s and 70s, but then I stopped reading comics for because I just got bored with them, or because before it switched over to comic shops, it was hard to find them on the spindles. So I was into more. I also got more. Superheroes sort of bugged me, and so I got more into heavy metal and the creepy, eerie comics because they were contained.
Yes.
Short stories contained. Sometimes the guys would run off, but I liked that more than the superhero guys who beat the shit out of each other. Then they wait 2 months to beat the shit out of each other again.
That's so true.
I mean,
that's so true. And repeat.
They got reinvented to the point. I don't need to read it anymore. But I have a lot of friends who've worked in comics. Mark Chiarello, who's a DC editor. One of his first jobs was Galaxy Rangers. So that's where I met him. We got to be friends. I mean, it's a comics that's brutal. I mean, I did some comics for Valiant. I did 3 stories maybe, and it's brutal. It's hard work, and it's low pay. Even now, you're lucky if you can really make a living in doing comics. But I'm happily say it's like animation. It's blossomed to so many independent comic guys out there, especially with it's wonderful to see, especially with Kickstarter. Because you stop having
take out the middle person, right? The middle, which is great for creators.
Yeah, if you don't, you don't need 1 million people liking your stuff. Maybe only a couple of thousand, and you can get it done. And it's out there, and they keep the rights.
Another very important thing, especially as we're talking about these characters that were designed, that you designed over the years, that, Dennis was saying earlier that he went to his store and saw, a character that he created as a toy, and, you never know where it's going to show up.
Yeah. Well, like I say in the Super 7 stuff, before the Zacks and Gara come out, I didn't really check, but I did in the past 5 months. I look like, wait a minute. There's a props that I did. There's a globe there. There's a mirror. Also that's stuff I did. So again, I'm happy to see it. It's just for bragging rights. I'm happy to see it. Simple as that. And I'm glad that like you and the fans appreciate it. That's all you can ask for.
And it's always just been so amazing to me that so many of those designs came from all came from you. Like came from one person. And it's part of what makes, for me at least, makes the world feel like a real place, because it feels like there's a consistent design language of stuff.
Yeah.
The boiler.
Coming on as the last season, a lot of it was established, and part of my learning curve was like, okay, when Peter said, no, that doesn't fit the style, I had to really look and say, okay, what is the style here? I'm not here to change. I'm here to support what's already been done, and that was very important to me. So I'm really proud when I see Jagara come back and looking exactly like I drew her. I said, I did the right job, because I'm very much aware of the teamwork that it takes to get a show together, besides the writer and the producers and sound people and recording and the actors, but the art staff, there was like, I wish I could have shook the hand of everyone the artists in Japan who worked on the show. And I did meet one. I wish I knew his name. When I was working on Gargoyles, when I got hired for Gargoyles, my wife and I went to Tokyo because her sister was living there and just had twins. So we were going to visit them and meet the twins. And Disney delayed my start by saying, okay, I said, I can't start on the date you want. I have to go to Tokyo. They said, well, if you're going to Tokyo, could you drop by our Tokyo studio and just introduce yourself as a producer? I said, sure, I could do that. So I did that. And during the tour, one of the artists came to me through a translator and said, I work with ThunderCats.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
I gave him a very respectful bow and thanked him for all his hard work, because they did a lot of hard work in that show.
And the fact that he wanted to meet you and make a point of it it's a beautiful testament of how both mesh, the art from across the world. Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it was fun. It was a nice highlighted at, well, besides going to a kite festival and pounding mushi. You know what mushi is? It's a gummy sort of holiday thing for them. It was like New Year's. So I'm there making some very, very nice Japanese citizens very nervous as I'm swinging this giant club as their fingers are, it's like you pound this thing. It's made out of rice and you sort of pound it to like a taffy type of thing. But it's like three guys would be pounding it as people are molding it, and they invited me to join in with the ritual. And there I was with this. I'll have to find those pictures and put them up sometime. Me. And knowing these guys are like terrified. Hey man, this guy's gonna break my hand. He doesn't know what he's doing. No, it was fun. It was good. It was nice. Had a good time.
Well, since we're going to start talking about the episode, we were curious, like, how you started writing on ThunderCats. Like, what was that? It's not really a transition because you were continuing to design, but you had ideas for stories. How did you get them in front of Peter? How did that start?
I did not think of writing for ThunderCats at all. That wasn't a plan. Specifically, I think it was, I was reviewing storyboards. And Peter, they asked me, because they knew I did storyboards, to help review some of the storyboard. And I think it was a storyboard for a Tiger Shark's storyboard. I remember doing some notes for it, and I found a plot hole that I pointed out to Peter. I remember that specifically, so it might have been other hearing. And he just says, "Would you ever like to try to write a story?" And I said, "Well, sure.
Yes.
Why not?" Because I wrote my own. I do have my own little ideas and stories I've been writing. Like I said, this sword and sorcery character. I have my 13 episodes or 13 issues, basically stories, outlines that I'll never get to. But I said, sure, why not? And I started giving us some ideas. I started giving them pitches for Shadow Master. Like I said, it was the Thunder Kittens finding the robe, and then there was Aloro. But then I hooked on the idea of, Lionel's father being trapped by the Shadow Master, and going and finding the the Light Lancers, the whole alternate ThunderCats. And Peter read that, and it was like 80 pages for 20 half. He said, "No, you got enough here for like 5 episodes. We're not doing that. You got to cut this down to bare minimum." And so I came in we took his notes and got it down to an acceptable story. And the same thing with Well of Doubt. It's just that he said, "Well, you want to do another one?" Okay. I can figure out another idea for that. And I just had an Well of Doubt. Again, the genesis of that was, you remember the terracotta warriors in China. Somehow that stuck in my mind. I wanted to use that for a story. So that's what I used to sort of get to the conflict there. The fact that they were made of clay and they're going to be destroyed by water. So if you're a writer, you always figure out how it's going to end.
Yes.
I think so. Everything else was just leading up to how that was going to happen. And the idea, but it couldn't be just about them. It had to be about the actual characters. I had to have some jeopardy for Lion-O and whatever. So I came up with the well water type of thing, being, the confidence thing. But the other aspects of the story, to me, once you get into it, I know you guys are going to go through it scene by scene and pick the meat from the bone and whatever. I can go into other aspects of it when we get to that. Yeah, it's just that he asked me. Simple as that. They said, "You want to do it? We only got 5 more shows." I did show 125 and I did show 129. He said, "Why not?"
It's amazing.
Let's do it.
Because the series was wrapping up, did you feel pressure to deliver a particular kind of story? Well of Doubt sticks out in my brain as a favorite of mine, specifically because of where it falls in the series and thematically what it does. But I wondered, did you feel pressure at the end of the show to deliver something?
No, because I got to look at the unemployment line after that. So it wasn't exactly pressure. It's like, let me get one more check out of these people before I got to go hit the streets. No, I wasn't that far thinking. It was just, I wanted to write a good show. I'm not a good writer. I can't spell for crap. And I just wanted to get through writing that 20 minutes, of a show. And I'm proud of the way it came out. There are aspects of it that I look back on and said, did I really put that in there? That's kind of heavy. What was I thinking? But there's also a lot of help from Peter and Lee. In fact, I was looking at some of the notes. This is notes from Lee Doneker. and Peter, and you can see a lot of things are scribbled out.
It's sort of a crash course in screenwriting, I suppose.
Yeah. No, they were, and I was I'm always indebted to Peter and Lee for giving me that opportunity. They were the only things I ever wrote, those two shows, for animation.
And I mean, again, not just because you're on here. Leading up to today, I was like, I really want to tell Dennis that, and not just because you're here, because we were truly, when you said warts and all, we were ready to give it to you. But can I tell you that I feel like both of your episodes, Shadow Master and Well of Doubt, add so much to the later half of the season in just 2 episodes. Then we got almost the entirety of season 4.
And
so just the fact that you did that in 2 episodes and they come near the end is just amazing.
For me personally, I'm sure Zack will even mirror this as well. I'm so happy that this episode landed when it did, because it kind of, for me, and Zack has off camera has actually said this already, ended this series for us on such a way that it really is such a meaningful episode. Because I'll be honest with you, and if you listen to the podcast at all, we're very reverent about the series, but we're also very critical about things. We've even said stuff that the biggest bungler was the writer of this episode. And we'll get more into it as we talk about it. But definitely this definitely being pretty much the ending of the series, it really meant a lot, because it really, again, we've talked about this before, how the storytelling for these certain franchises and cartoons kind of, in a way, parented at us, to be honest with you. A lot of kids were latchkey. Again, we've talked about this, latchkey kids, and these were like the morals that we grew up on. And, the theme, you just said that this was kind of heavy, but I'll be honest with you, it was something that was in here, was something that needed to be said. So for me personally, and I know for a lot of us, the theme in this particular episode was in a way heavier, but also well done and digestible for a child, and very well put, and something that, again, molded my young brain, kind of, again, molded me for who I am. So I very good writing, because
very good. I mean, for the 2 scripts, I mean, honestly, that is a legacy in itself, because they're 2 of the most memorable episodes of.
And that's why we did give it a high number, not because you're on, because we would have been honest. We would have kind of tongue in cheek it and said, but it's all very meaningful. But we'll talk more about it. But
it is ironic that, especially now in these times with the whole issue of immigration, that whole last season of ThunderCats was basically about, bringing back people, bringing in accepting people as immigrants again. I mean, I was happy to add to that with Well of Doubt. In Shadow Master, my biggest, I guess, moment was Lion-O and his father.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
But, that was like a Star Wars thing. And I'm going to put this in there, see what people say.
But as a Star Wars fan personally, I love that callback too, because we always call Jaga Obi-Wan Kenobi on, like that ghost that comes, that gives you the Force ghost, that gives you the advice.
And also judgmental. We always call him judgmental.
He can be a little judgmental Jaga. But I like our Jaga, like in the Shadow Master, who gives advice, is very helpful, and, that mentor figure. So that's how we prefer him written.
Right.
Do you want to?
Should we get into the episode then? Well of Doubt, with the original air date of September 28th, 1989. Possibly, there's a thing with the air dates, as we say, in the final years. We don't know if they're exactly on point. This is season 4, episode 129. And the synopsis is, Lion-O unwillingly drinks tainted water from the devastating Well of Doubt, which causes him to lose all of his courage and self-belief. Dennis did mention right before this the original plot line, right, with the rock giants, and I thought it was fascinating. A matter of fact, I want to say it's mentioned in the David Crichton Hear the Roar book. this aspect of Wily Kit getting this headdress, which
that yes, that was one of my other ideas for it. It was Wily Kit gets chased into a cave chased in the cave by either lunatics or mutants. I think it was the lunatics by then because they came after the mutants. And he's in this cave, and it's dark and it's cloudy, but as he's trying to get out, a rock falls from this cave ceiling, and as a sunbeam comes out, and she happens to find this crown, and she puts the crown on, the sun hits it, activates it, and lights up the whole room, hitting all these rock giants. And they come alive, and they step and kneel before her and say, "Command us, my queen." So they think she's this princess or something from the old world. So they break her out of the cave, and they start rampaging the countryside with her as a leader. So
that's really cool.
And I think it ended up is that the only way she got out of it is like she led them into a river and they all dissolved.
I almost wish that was a separate script. And again, not to poo-poo on Mama's confusion, but that plot alone could have been a whole separate episode that I think would have been amazing, because letting Wily Kit shine. I'm glad she does appear in this episode still. She does make an appearance. But that's another character that she was a strong female character. So seeing her in that position would have been great just for the character alone.
Well, there was actually, along those lines, I did have another story that I pitched to them, but they poo-pooed it. It was Wily Kit and Wily Cat, and the well was a wishing well, and they kept getting harangued by Lion-O and one of the other ThunderCats about not being responsible, not doing this, and they, the Wily Kit and Wily Cat were at this wishing well, didn't know it was a wishing well, but they said, "I wish I was an adult so I wouldn't have to deal with this, and I wish, I wish those guys were kids so they can see what they're putting us through." And they switched places. It was like that Friday, that
Freaky
movie
Friday,
that
right,
had
guys?
switched to it, but Freaky Friday was like a Freaky Friday plot. So that was an idea I had thrown out. It's like they would show that, so both sides would get to see that, hey, we have your place as a family. Adults have certain responsibility, and kids have certainly, they would learn from that experience. So a Freaky Friday experience. They said, no, that's just too complicated, and we don't want to, you didn't want to center on the kids that much. So
really, because I think that would have totally worked, and I feel like they did that when they did the ThunderCats twice are turned into children at some point. Maybe not mind wise, but like switched bodies. But they did.
Thunder Cubs. They could have reused that animation too to save some money, just in case if they wanted to.
Whatever.
I love that idea too.
And again, I threw out a bunch of ideas that one was because I was reading Marvel Comics, Thor and Asgard, stuff like that. And in the back, they always used to have these sort of tangent stories that they call Tales of Asgard. And I wanted to do that with ThunderCats. Be Tales of Thundera, to be old tales of the old mysteries or old myths of Thundera that wasn't part of the storyline. So you could have went off in any sort of direction, I
love that.
Shadow Master's first fight with Jagara, or how Jagara came to be and stuff like that. But they said, no, it takes too long to set the backstory for all that stuff.
I wonder what would have happened if you were asked earlier to actually write, because it sounds like the ideas would have been flowing.
True. I mean, honestly, even with her putting on the crown, because there was an episode where Snarf put on one of the what we at one point thought was maybe could have been a treasure of Thundera, and he started to control the ThunderCats inadvertently, and it was a learning lesson. I felt like, where she would have had a learning lesson too, where she
grow up maybe.
She would have said, I felt powered by this, and realized that she was also being very destructible, and kind of had to relinquish the power, which
Yes,
exactly. Very Spider-Man. With great power comes great responsibility. Would have been a perfect. That would have been an arc.
A great,
See, they should have listened.
And the
had more storyline.
Honestly, I think we said this at the time when we brought it up, but we wish it was a 3 or 4 episode thing, because it sounded like it could have spun off on its own in a way.
In the back of my head, I always keep the idea that, well, I have those ideas. I can just do it with my own characters, but I have to, you're some kind of, different whatever. But yeah, it's not dead. It's just dormant.
Yes, if ThunderCats has taught us anything, this good storytelling continues. So, we're at an under construction tower on New Thundera. The ThunderCats and Tor are using a homing beacon to guide the Thunderian space liner to the planet and make a safe landing. Among the passengers from the ships are a Thunderian family and Baron Tass and his accountant, Mr. Grubber. Dennis, was there an intention for the building? It looks very...
I love it.
Tower of Omens, which is something that's on Thundera. It looks like a wonderful callback. It's very Thunderian, so it's perfect for their, design.
I can't really say, but I mean, I remember just they needed a tower. Okay, it's got to be tall. Okay.
Heck, you got the tallness.
All right, it's got to have an antenna on top. Okay, got that. Again, I don't have the script here, so I can't tell.
That was one of my notes. I loved it. Yeah. I thought it was amazing. I thought it looked more like it was. It was much more substantial too than the one that's on Third Earth. I call it like the tiny Space Needle version, like on
Seattle.
On Third Earth. It's so much better.
Well, I know we needed the big control room, so I made sure they had big windows there. But it had to look like, exposed superstructure. Like it hasn't. Like I know I put that in there. I don't know if it was. Again, I wish I had the script. I do have the script. I might talk to them. Let's see how they described it.
Dennis has his own Book of Omens. It's a beautiful binder full of history.
See, they really didn't describe it. They just said homing beacon tower. It was up to me to come up with something. They described it here. This is the description from the script. The homing beacon tower is a 12-story structure housing the various transmitting equipment and antennas. It is at this point still under construction, and its top has a series of large pulsing lights which emit the guidance beam. At the base of the tower is a control room. See design sheets. Yeah, game's right there.
See attached paper.
Yeah, that was the description of it. But this is what we would tell, the script was, of course, to tell the animation people. But yeah, so that's the description I went.
Did you find that working as, with the art, that it would help you to describe something like that in the script? Like, knowing yourself as an artist, okay, 12 inches, or until 12 feet, whatever the thing is.
Yeah, possibly these guys also had an earlier version, they might have said, no, it's got to be really tall. So some of that was, in discussion of what they wanted. But as what came out,
it looked great. And it
was awesome.
It again shows, like we said earlier, not much has been happening on screen with New Thundera, like seeing this kind of thing with construction. We've had throughout this season Thunderians come, but this felt like a conscious, really building something, bringing these Thunderians to a location. It seems like the ThunderCats are really established at this point. It feels like we almost jumped a little to see what they're actually up to with, changing this planet and ruling it justly.
Yeah.
Hello, Tor. You're just in time. The ship is still locked onto our homing beam and should be arriving soon.
But that last fluctuation in the signal has me worried, Lion-O. With this tower still under construction, it's going to be touch and go.
What's that?
We have a malfunction.
Tor, channel all reserve power to the beam.
Yeah, there wasn't, I don't remember them having much sort of outside construction, except for construction on the cat's lair. There wasn't like village construction shown, things like that. So we had to allude to that. I mean, that's what I tried to allude to, that there were, we had these things happening. We want to get supplies so that people can live.
And the other thing that Dennis did was actually show Jagara using her magic, because we've discussed this with Zack in the past. She is a Thunderian sorceress, but we saw no use of her powers. So Dennis actually gave us her using her powers, and spoiler, as they say for later, Jagara does a lot. Like, she is a warrior in this episode, which is also fantastic. So in her last appearance of the 1985 series, by the way, I am beyond thankful, even as a fan, just that we got to see her use her powers and do so much with them. starting off here in her, we call it the Glenda bubble on the podcast. The bubble where she's seen helping because she's transporting, back and forth Tor and, very helpful at least. And she's out. We found out a few episodes ago that she works 24 hours, 7
days a week since the beginning of time. Matt.
So we're...
And she has insomnia. Give her a break.
So she needs a long vacation.
Yeah, we got to see her out and about.
Yeah.
I love the opening scene. I love, to your point, it feels like a new beginning. Like the Zack's Factor, the previous episode, ends with this notion that maybe mumm-ra is defeated. And so this feels like, this is what they came here to do. They came here to reestablish their people and they're building and they have a settlement and they're like throwing a signal out into space to like welcome people home. I love in the control room that there's you immediately see Snarfer sitting there just doing electrical work. And I wrote in my notes, it's Chekhov's wires. Like, if you see a Snarf with wires, you know they're going to get electrocuted. So
that's continuity, Zach.
That's our continuity. Yeah. It's something with the species. It's
conduits.
drawn, and they have to be electrocuted.
I wrote another Snarf electrocution. That's what I wrote in my notes.
But this was fantastic. Zach actually sent us a still frame from the electrocution, and seeing the Snarfer's skeleton for the first time is something else. The shape of the skeleton is amazing. So yes, check.
The animators did a good job there.
Yeah, they did. I didn't do that.
Oh, great! That was actually going to be. I was going to ask.
It's not even in the storyboard. Dennis has the story up the first few pages of the storyboard up on his blog, and the skeleton's not there either. So it was just the animators having fun, animating on the ones and twos, really quick shot of a skeleton. And
I'm thankful, it's not a female genitalia, but I'm glad that they did something like this as a surprise.
Yep.
All the vibes in this scene before the plane lands, there's like some immediate jeopardy, which is always nice. Like start the episode like, something's going wrong, we have to fix it. But I like that when it's clear that the plane is going to land safely, there's this moment where we cut to like just smiling close-ups of everyone.
Yes,
everyone is just like so happy that there's new people coming. And then once we go outside, we get the music is like it's like the main theme. The captain's voice, I also wrote that the captain's voice is also like a Scottish thing. So like Bob McFadden doing a Scottish.
We also get Peter Newman doing another villain, and this one started out a little Monkeyan-esque. Kind of his voice changed, but very Monkeyan to begin with.
Dennis, did you get to be there when they recorded it?
Not for all of it. And I don't know which show that I was there for. I think I might have been there for some of Shadow Master. And I just don't remember what section they were doing. But again, because we were such a small studio and we were on such a tight schedule, I rarely went to a recording session at all. But when Lee was kind enough to say, "Hey, we're recording your show today. You got to come down and see some of it." And I might have been there like half the session.
That's a special moment. My goodness, yes.
Yeah.
And from what I've heard, it was probably just a riot. Like they were always having so much fun.
Yeah. I mean, I wish I could have stayed for all of it, but it was one of the joys of. Like, I know you guys make jokes about it's you I want Lion-O. Come, ThunderCat, meet your doom. That line itself. Hey, I wrote that.
It is performed really well as well, too, by it is you I want Lion-O. And just to follow that up, we always give Lynn Lipton, our, main female voice actress, props. And speaking of Wily Kit, she says, we have to do something now or they don't have a chance.
Mayday! Mayday! Being smashed! Mayday! Mayday!
We have to do something now, or they don't have a chance!
Great acting by Lynn Lipton as Wily Kit. You really felt the emotion that she wanted to save these refugees. So, again, writing, acting together, just beautiful. My pleasure. So, yes, Snarfer is electrocuted again as part of the process to get the tractor beam to work. Now, what exactly is the thing that interrupts the beam to begin with? I wrote my notes. I have it somewhere.
It was some kind of like power failure. Like there wasn't enough power.
Yeah, that's what Snarfer was trying to fix when he got zapped, basically.
And it's why they have to inspect and repair the tower later. It's why they start off repairing the circuits at the bottom, and then they have to go up to the top to fix the beam.
Yeah, with the whisker.
And
With the whisker, yeah.
to Zach's point, the music throughout this episode is very cinematic. I mean, just from the ThunderCats theme early on, like Zach said, and then later on, there's just beautiful music again.
Welcome, fellow Thunderians. I am Lion-O, Lord of the ThunderCats. My companions and I welcome you to New Thundera, your new home.
There's
new
music. There's like cues we've never heard before and never hear again. Recently, Peter and Buddha had Pete Canarazzi, who was on the crew, who worked with Bernie Hoffer on music and sound effects. And I wonder if some of these, because they don't sound orchestral, these cues, they're a little like just more simple. And I wonder if it's just Pete, playing stuff, because they don't, it doesn't like, they're literally one-off cues that we never hear again. So yeah, I wonder if they were written just for these moments and if he was the one playing them.
I mean, again, makes it even a more cinematic episode. It ups everything because we're getting new music cues, like Zach is saying, and they were really effective when they actually were played. So the ship lands, and yes, Wily Kit takes a new Thunderian family to get, established on the planet. This is something, again, that Dennis set up, because we had no idea if the ThunderCats were, once these refugees were coming, what they were doing with them. I'm assuming they figured they have to put them someplace and, get them established, but...
Off to a village that was sort of like the Ellis
Island. Yes!
Right.
And the fact that the ThunderCats had to take up this too, not just rebuilding the land, but they're really governing it, which is fantastic.
Yes.
Again, something we haven't seen up until the second to last episode, and something I wish we got to explore more. So what ends up happening is Baron Tass and his accountant, which I love. I just love the whole idea of the accountant. Fits perfectly for the character. Come down this grand staircase, and Snarfer was trying to get everyone's luggage, and of course, in Snarfer fashion, trips and falls down with all these bags.
I'll help with the bags.
Welcome, my friends. Wily Kit will take you to the settlement.
Follow me.
We see that Tor recognizes the Baron right away.
The character of Mr. Grubber was Peter Lawrence's idea. Well, when I gave him the first script, there was no Mr. Grubber. And in one of his notes, he said, you need to have, the Baron needs to have some kind of lackey to sort of help talk to and explain things to. His notes were like, Grubber was one of the suggestions for a name.
It's great. It's actually a great name. It describes him quite well.
Exactly.
Yeah, describes him very well.
He said Peter's notes. See, I say.
I'm glad you do, though.
I love that.
Peter.
I love it. It's my favorite thing.
He says, some thoughts on Baron Tass. He should have a very colorful and outspoken. He should be a very colorful and outspoken character. He's powerful, greedy, and scheming. His outfit should suggest a touch of sorcerer in him to help justify his magical knowledge and powers. To support, he went on to say, Baron Tass could have a shriveling sidekick, a la Yes Man, to whom he can confide his plans and discoveries. This could be Tass' personal tax collector, names Welcher or Grubber. When he has who's exploiting land baron, he is fanatical Beetlejuice type of slime ball. Like a good tax collector, he has money bags attached to his belt and ready abacus or calculator for quick figuring. That was Peter's suggestion.
I love that.
I love
that. Actually, that's what I wrote. Mr. Grubber, bookkeeper, and sniveling loser. That's my notes.
You clumsy oaf! How dare you mishandle my property?
Oh no, Baron Toss!
I know you! You are Tor! You worked for me! Mr. Grubber! Come here, Mr. Grubber!
At your service, Baron.
It is Thor. Is he still in debt to me?
Oh, my. Let's see. Yes, it's right here. 100 credits, I'm afraid, or an additional 10 months of service.
I'll never work for you again, Baron.
I actually had a question, and we had talked like a little bit off camera before about this touches upon like the hardship of the refugees. Now, obviously, our main Thundercats go to Third Earth and they face hardships, but they are empowered with weapons and knowledge and the Sword of Omens, and this kind of touches upon a theme that is brought up a few little times about hierarchy, and then this is also indentured servitude and a caste system and slavery, like with the brute men, and how Tor is an indentured servant to this Baron. So I just wanted to throw it out there and ask some questions about that and the choice of that, because again, it does bring up the fact that these refugees did not live a charmed life in all the different places that they went, and it definitely it did something for me. It really touched me in a very, very visceral way, even as a kid. So I wanted to throw that out to you and ask you a little bit more about that.
One I got to use because he had to be a bad guy. We wanted him to be some kind of bad guy. So I thought about that. Well, this guy's coming back. He's Baron Tass. What could be the connection there? And I had Tor, who was from the two-time episode, but he was unnamed. And so I said, well, I can use him again, him and his family, or just him, basically, because he does show up. I think showed up before that, but maybe not. And I said, well, let me have him be a former employee, and to show how bad this guy is. This guy's coming in, he doesn't respect authority. He thinks he's, should be in charge. And I wasn't sure they were going to let me say slavery, that he was a slave. So I used indentured servant, and have, I guess the nail it down was to have Pantro say, in the wrong hands, indentured servant is slavery.
Yes.
That was one of my brilliant moments, I guess.
That's again why it meant more to me that this was one of the episodes that ended the series, because it definitely embodied so much more than just sort of like some playful little kind of, again, the morals that the franchise and kind of exposed kids to that didn't necessarily always get to see, and in a positive way, and again, digestible. We always talk about on the podcast, we always talk about not talking down to children, and good writing, where it's something that you empower a child to understand in their way, but empower them to kind of think for themselves and understand something and learn something from it.
Yes.
And not be some kind of mindless kind of garbage, which again, I'm aging myself, because sometimes I see the stuff that my kids watch and I'm like, really? And again, I love mindless entertainment, don't get me wrong, but I'm like, really? Are we really doing this? I feel like I don't know, the other guys can kind of talk about this too. That's why this again was definitely a really great, amazing episode to end the series with. Definitely.
So,
I think Lion-O's response into it was very powerful. As you may have done that before. It sort of was an acknowledgement that maybe old Thundera wasn't perfect. Thunderian society wasn't perfect. But you're not doing that now. Everyone here is equal, and you're going to pull your share. You have to pull your weight. That was the whole idea of sending them off to gather water, that type of thing.
Tor, what's going on here? You see, Lion-O, long ago, I was an indentured servant of Baron Tass. Under that agreement, he provided food and lodging for me and my family. In return, we were to work for him for 1 year. But we found that the Baron constantly cheated and lied, scheming to keep us and many families like us in his employ forever.
It sounds like slavery.
When used by an unscrupulous man like Baron Tass, it is.
And at the Baron's side, as always, is Mr. Grubber, his villainous bookkeeper and tax collector. They haven't changed at all. Maybe not, but Thundera has changed. And by Jagga, his shady dealings will not be allowed here anymore. Baron Tass, hear me. I am Lion-O, Lord of the ThunderCats. This man and all the others are now free Thunderians.
A ThunderCat! Your presence honors me, but contracts must be kept.
The destruction of old Thundera ended those contracts. This new planet is everyone's chance to start over with a clean slate. The same goes for you. You will be allowed to live among us as an equal, but you must be prepared to work hard for the good of all.
You expect me to do common labor?
You have a choice, Barantas. Either you can stay and live under the code of Thundera, or you will be exiled.
Lion-O's speech, I love it for two reasons. Like, the Baron, first, he's like, well, contracts, we have to honor the contract. And Lion-O says, no, like, force majeure, basically, like, when the planet blew up, the contracts are void. But I think the more radical thing he says is that, like, here's this Baron who represents, like David said, a caste system, and sort of a sign of severe dysfunction on old Thundera. And Lion-O is saying, he's not just saying, like, no, you can't do that anymore. He's like saying, no, that whole system is gone. It's a very radical thing, I think, for him to do. But when we talked about when the new ThunderCats first get introduced, Lion-O is like feeling very guilty, right? Because he thought they were dead. He thought that the ThunderCats, like, they saved him because he was royalty instead of saving these commoners. And so he anointed them as ThunderCats because why not? Like, they proved themselves as equal. So why can't they be equal? And I think that I'm probably thinking about this way too much, like, thematically, but I do think that, like, Lion-O, his attitude, his sort of egalitarian attitude, it's not just out of necessity because they're building a new society. It's like, I think he really does fundamentally believe that this is the right thing to do. And it makes you wonder, like, how did old Thundera get to be like that? Like, Panthro was there. Mm-hmm. Panthro was a noble. Was the nobility just okay with stuff like this happening? It's I don't know. But yeah, I really appreciated Lion-O's speech because the idea of remaking your society to be equal, I remember as a young person, it struck me, and it still does.
That's amazing. Oh, thank you.
And again, it shows what these characters, how noble, speaking of noble, how kind they are. And we saw what they did on Third Earth, how they basically united, we always talk about this, that they united all these groups of the warrior maidens, this person, that person, and they made this community, and
from people from very different walks of life, very different points of view, very different cultural backgrounds, very different belief systems,
and they all came together,
and they all looked very different too.
Yes, the cat people,
those cat people,
cat people. And then they're doing it here is beautiful.
I think I would say some of the at least in my mind, some of the themes behind the ThunderCats are mirrored in Star Trek.
Yeah.
Is that it's about protection of the weak, it's about seeking knowledge, and using your powers for good, And that was one of the things all through the series with the Sword of Omen, unless it was using for a just cause, it didn't work.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I mean, so that was like, with power comes great responsibility. And they always reminded people of that. They weren't there just to flout their power. They're there to help build something better, with the help of people that came in peacefully. They would repulse the mutants and the lunatics and stuff like that. Not necessarily to eradicate them, but just say, no, you can't act like that in our society. Period. And that's it.
And it does show, we've given compliments to Lion-O's character throughout the series, but it does show, because this started off as a child. He's a child in a man's body. Mm-hmm. And the fact that he can rule justly and has these ideas and just the maturity it's a beautiful character in general. So this just adds another layer on top of his character, something like this.
I think that's what I like. It's like he arrived at these ideas on his own, I think.
Yeah.
Just through their experience on Third Earth, like you're saying, David, like through uniting people. And I think the other theme that I see in the show, Dennis, is just like the value of teamwork. Like the Sword of Omens, its main power is to like juice up the team and bring everyone together, right?
Right.
At the end of the episode, the moral, I think, the like stated moral is, I think, connected to that.
Yes.
We'll talk about that when we get there.
The Baron sees Tor, and he asks Mr. Grubber if he is still under his I guess, ownership, basically. And this is when he
Yes.
employment. And he finds out, that he still owes 150 credits or 10 months of service. And we find out through him that meant nothing. The service never ended because the Baron would keep taking advantage and changing the rules. So that's what leads now Lion-O to say this amazing, like, nope, this is it. You're going to follow the rules of New Thundera. That contract is void. And you're going to become, a useful member of our society.
Go get some water now.
Now go get some water.
Yeah, some water.
So I want to say, Zach, this was the part where they also have this beautiful score, this original area. It's like around this part where Tor is saying he had to work.
Tor is like, he's like shaking. It's animated really well. He's shaking. He's so upset, like visibly upset. And
yeah,
they did a wonderful job with this that episode, section.
His design, speaking of a what if, like Dennis was mentioning earlier, of seeing Wile Kit and Wile Cat, mature and maybe swap bodies and grow up. He is giving me like he could be an older Wile Cat.
Or become a ThunderCat in the future. Yeah, like be. Yeah.
Like he does seem to fit in really well. Very helpful.
They need to get into
Well, I mean, honestly, they'd probably throw him in that tower over there, and he wouldn't be allowed into the main. He wouldn't be like, he'd be like the other three. He wouldn't be able to go to the cat's lair, the main one, but he'd still be a ThunderCat.
Oh, this is actually really random, Dennis. But do you remember? I mean, we've talked about this for a year. Tiger's character and Pumira's characters was written out. Was there a list of characters that they may have just said, don't use these characters?
They're not selling toys.
Don't use Pumira. Don't use, Okay.
Purposely, no, not really. And actually, as I was looking through the original script, Bengali was supposed to be in the show.
Oh.
But it got to be too many characters.
Too many.
To sort of control.
David is devastated.
Bengali.
Sorry.
Well.
Yeah, I see him, written out. Where some of Tor's dialogue was supposed to be Bengali.
I could totally see that happening to save with time and animation. Yeah, condense.
But mostly in the tower sequence. In the tower sequence, Bengali.
Oh my God, they would have taken him from one tower to the other.
From one tower to the other. Yeah, from Tower of Omens.
Just get to that tower.
I think the small cast in the episode actually really helps make, like, having a simple story helps in this case.
Yeah. Again, part of it is the time restraint you have. It's a 20-minute, basically it's a 20-minute episode. So if you have too many characters, and it can't have a lot of dialogue, or you won't have time for the actions that you need, especially in an action-adventure show. You got to account for that, so you try to cut down the dialogue as much as you can. Of course, it's not just dialogue and action. Dialogue also really
right.
For the music cues and things like that. And you want to, at that point, like I say, you say, well, he had the same clothes, because why design a new clothes when we have that already? And just say, hey, take the same colors. Again, remember, this is all physical ink and paint. So, yeah, let's not have to figure out all new colors for him and whatever, just go back to that show where he was first in, and you just take that information and translate.
You never know, maybe continuity. We do love it.
I mean, Chitara's closet, she had the same 10 leotards in that closet.
It's a classic cartoon character thing, right? You know what you're going to wear every day, at least,
Yeah, exactly. It's like every, how many... I mean, now with technology, they do change the costumes almost every show for a lot of characters, but Superman's costume is the same that he wore in the 30s. So, sometimes he has his underwear on the outside, sometimes he has his underwear on the inside.
I prefer the underwear on the outside, the classic, that look. I think that's classic.
Yeah. I mean, he's not. You don't see him changing the color of his cape only occasionally, or something. If he's going to negative zone or something like that. But yeah, I mean, it's a trope. It's a comic book trope. They have the same costumes. They live action guys have to tweak it, but you want to be able to recognize that guy immediately.
That character recognition.
Live action
Scooby-Doo. Cartoons especially.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, translate the outfits as close as possible.
We'd better start stocking up on supplies. Tor, we'll need fresh water. Think you can find some? No problem, Lion-O. I know of a spring in the forest, not far from here. Good. You can take Baron Taz and Mr. Grubber with you.
Well, Lead on, my young Tor.
Right, this way.
Now we'd better get back to finishing our homing beacon before more ships arrive.
Okay, Panthro, let's do it!
Tor is now tasked with gathering water for not only the crew that's working on things, but the whole entire settlement. And now that our Baron and Mr. Grubber are supposed to be parts of, the society, they are sent to gather the water with Tor. I am known for drinking gallons and gallons of water. So the entire time, Dennis, I was saying, I really wish I had this bag. I'm telling you, I would, and with the ThunderCats insignia, because I would be, oh my goodness, I'm like a camel. So.
Are you going to start selling that bag on Etsy
No,
now?
I want this bag. I would love a ThunderCats watering cantina
Don't give Super
bag.
7 any more ideas.
I know, don't give Super 7 any, that's so true. But I would love it. I would love this bag, by the way, because as a water lover. But yes, Zach, did you want to add anything about the bag?
No, not the bag, but like there's this whole settlement. There's this big tower they built, but there's no plumbing. Why is there no plumbing?
It's coming later.
Okay. They were trying to dig that well, but then they got Frogman.
Well, you never know what's going to happen when you dig too far into a well. Frogman might pop out.
That's right. So, in villain fashion, our Baron is walking along in the forest with Tor, and he cannot go any further. He needs a break. No, he demands a break. He has to. He's not even asking. He's like, no, we're stopping. And our very young, friendly Thunderian says, I will begin to gather the water in these amazing water bags. I actually love this. The Baron recognizes his old land, basically. And the design.
I used to break dance over there back in the day.
Very
in the 80s.
Yeah. Very convenient.
I love what the line. Yes. The line is, "Look around you, Mr. Grubber. Don't you recognize this spot?" It almost sounds romantic. Like, don't you remember when we were here in the forest together and we signed our first contract?
That beautiful well.
Well, I mean, I'm sure that would be romantic to him, grabbing people and
getting more indentured servants.
Brash upstart! Look around you, Mr. Grubber. Don't you recognize this spot?
Why, it does look familiar. Wait, that cave. It looks like the one on your old estate.
Exactly. I recognized this land the moment we landed. Come, Mr. Grubber.
So, yes, we come across this. I like the design of it. It has like a skull-like look to the outside, and inside...
It felt like...
Yes,
like
that's what I was thinking. Like
to
overgrown, a little slightly ominous, but more so like, yes.
Ruins of a temple. Peru.
Yeah, exactly, like Mesoamerican ruins.
That shot of Mr. Grubber.
Oh, wow.
Oh, there's the background, yeah.
The background is one of my favorite.
Oh, wow. Look how beautiful.
Super cool.
It's things like that, Dennis, that gives this planet just life and history.
Really.
Like, life is perfect. History, and I just love. I'm a fan of.
Well,
ruins
we talked about this
and
again.
Like that.
I always go off on tangent, but this is what gives not only gives it visual interest, but also ties in all the imagination that we have, like this fantasy. Like when we talked about like Third Earth with mumm-ra with the pyramid, how that kind of ties into all this, the Egyptian theme, and how it kind of makes your mind wonder, like all these different little nuances of kind of these little touches of all these different societies that kind of just sprinkle in there. It just expands your mind and kind of makes your imagination kind of run wild. That's again part of that storytelling, and it's just what works.
Yes, it works. It definitely works.
Well, it worked for us.
The benefit of like lots of different writers and artists contributing it reminds me of like when you're a kid, your imagination is just like huge. So and I think for me, I connected with the show so much because there were clearly so many wild ideas that I didn't care that they came out of different, one out of left field, one out of right field. Like it all made sense in my wild imagination.
And the show, and Zack is famously, over the years, he's shown us storybooks he's written, continuation, his own art. It's part of this thing that all of us, growing up, this show just inspired us all in different ways. And it's this
why we're
rich
here.
Atmosphere and the art and the storytelling and the acting. And yeah, it's just so good. So inside is the Well of Doubt.
Is that the 6-layer cell?
Yes, yes, it is. And if you...
Oh, be careful.
So for listeners who's just listening to this, the cell is layered. So, usually...
So there's one layer with Grubber. There's one layer with Veritas. Then there's a painted background of the steps, which I think actually was 2 layers, but they put it together for this setup.
That's so cool.
It's beautiful.
And then
I know that the colors.
There's a layer of just the steam. Just the steam.
Wow.
Then the layers of the giants, and then the final layer painting.
How did these setups make their way to you, Dennis?
Oh, in all animation productions, or used to, they would have it in a contract that the company would make with these setups from certain scenes. They would say so many numbers. They might do a couple of hundred of them. And when Rankin and Bass was ending, Lee said, "Hey, would you like some cells? You can go into this pack. You can't take them all, but you can take some." And I took about I think 100. And some I sold to people like you, and I kept. This is my final. I only have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and some minor ones. This I know I sold it. I sold this one to somebody, but I have at least a copy of it.
Beautiful Jagara.
Which and this one is my friend Ray Shaughnessy designed that, but this is one of the most beautiful backgrounds that I've seen in the show.
That is beautiful.
It's just amazing. It's just a piece of art.
Oh wow. We've often brought up recently even the background colors and how bright and vivid, and it just shows that on these cells that are still so vivid, even through the camera, you can see how colorful they are.
Right.
It's amazing. They're just so beautifully preserved.
I'm always so scared that I'm not taking proper care of them, or that something's going to happen to them. I feel such a weight of responsibility that this thing is in my possession, because it's so singular. It's that's the frame. That's the piece of art.
They don't make them anymore. Everything's digital, so you don't have those anymore. Unless they fake them. Disney does a lot of that. They fake the cells to make souvenirs.
Yes,
basically.
That they sell in the parks too, I want to say, for hundreds of dollars I've seen.
They just take it out of the Disney vault.
Freshly made out of the Disney vault.
So here's a sketch of the giants.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And again, another history of Third Earth, that they had these stone giants as this was part of life at some point, part of the landscape, and these giants existed. Just adds to the mythos, which is another layer, again, in the last season. I know. I can't. We're still shocked that we're on the second.
When we were on the show with
Peter
and Buddha, they were talking about continuations. They were
we wish it could, of course, continue in some form. But
it has continued, I guess, through the comics. I mean, right now which I haven't really followed closely, and they seem to be going off on wild tangents. But so more power to them. That's all I can say. More power to them. But it's an enduring series, and I'm very proud to be part of it. I guess I was only there 2 years.
But in that time, you made, again, your mark. This is a standout episode. Truly. Thank you. The whole entire time, I'm like, I want to convey to Dennis how much I enjoyed this episode. Not just because you're gracing us, not because we appreciate you so much for what you coming on and commenting over the last few months, but it moved me. I watched it 3 times in preparation. I want to get it right and remember, and each time I was just blown away by what you did in not even 30 minutes. Like you said, it's basically 20 minutes. The story, it was perfectly contained, but moved continuity so long. Again, setting up the community, the ThunderCats with these, the settlers and things like that. So anyway, the Well of Doubt. We're reaching the pinnacle of the episode. So the Baron introduces this well, where it is protected by these 2 giants that Dennis has been showing us on camera. He tells of the magical water that will make the person who drinks lose their confidence.
This, Mr. Grabber, is the infamous Well of Doubt.
The Well of Doubt? But I thought it was just a legend, a myth.
No, my servile friend, it is quite real. One drink of its cooling waters, and you'll lose all self-confidence. The more you drink, the more you sink into the depths of self-doubt. The perfect thirst quencher for Lion-O. Under the spell of this water, he will make mistakes and doubt his ability to lead the Thunderians. Chaos will follow.
But the Thunderians, what if they resist?
My amulet holds the key to that secret.
We haven't seen Lion-O put in a position like this in the series, honestly, maybe a few times where he was, reduced to maybe, taking a, I was nervous, but again, in the second to last episode, you're giving us even Lion-O in a form we haven't seen.
Well, also, this popped into my head. I don't know if I intentionally thought that, but the Well of Doubt was Baron Tass's secret to keeping his people in line.
I wanted to ask you that. Was that part? Yeah.
Did he give I don't know.
To keep them compliant.
But yes,
sense, though.
It was the Jim Jones. It was the
Yeah,
it was the Kool-Aid.
Yeah, exactly.
The Kool-Aid?
I mean, he pumped that through all the settlements, his camp of interned people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Basically the slave quarters. That's when they were out toiling field or doing every task for him. He was feeding them this water to keep them in line.
It might explain a lot of things too of how it happened and how easily maybe Thunderians allowed it. Because like we said, we had this idealistic view of Thundera before, it was such a beautiful place, and then slowly we've been learning it is not. It has, it's not, and it's not as hospitable. My God, it wouldn't be an episode, as we originally thought. How it was like we thought puppies and reindeer, right, rainbows and unicorns, literally. Yeah, it has a history of its own that might not be as bright. So we cut back to our ThunderCats, and the Baron appears with this cold, refreshing water for Lion. He calls over Lion again. I was drawn to this water. I said, it sure does look delicious.
Are you trying to get a water sponsor or something here?
It's the one thing I drink. That's it. Anyway.
Right now, though, what I could really use is a drink of water. Which reminds me, Tor should be returning soon.
Here he comes now, Lion-O.
Lion-O, here's the water. Good. Take it to the settlement, Tor. I'll return as soon as I can.
Here, Lion-O. Allow me to pour you a drink.
Thank you, Baron. That was good. Come on, Snarfer. Let's check out those antennas.
We'll keep this for the crew here, Baron. You two catch up with Tor at the settlement.
I love this scene. Lion-O opens his hand. The Baron, really putting on a show to say that he's part of this. Look, here's this fresh, cooling water, and he drinks it. Yeah, I've changed. Water. And Mr. Grubber says, well, is it going to start? And he said, it takes time, which I appreciate. I appreciate that it wasn't an instant, as soon as the water enters, kind of shock, and that it built up to Lion-O in the whisker.
The Baron Tass's plan.
Oh, yes.
Just to make it clear to everyone listening, like weaken Lion-O with this water, make him doubt himself, create a power vacuum, basically, like make him an ineffectual leader, and then Tass can fill the power vacuum and intimidate people with his big guardsmen.
Right.
And then he and Grubber go back. They leave the scene. They don't wait around to see what happens. They go to their next task, which is to wake up the guardsmen.
I want to say Panthro told them to go to the settlement, but they went on their own back to the estate.
Yeah.
Was it called an estate? I think I wrote that down. He said, "You recognize my estate."
Yes. Yeah.
It's in shambles. No,
yeah, he's the landed
my
gentry,
estate.
right? That's
so like Zack said, they don't listen to Panther. They go on their own.
Just a few more tests and we're finished.
No problem, Snarfer. Steady as she goes.
How can I hold this thing? It's too hard to control. Can't do this. Why am I even trying?
Hey, what's going on?
No, I can't do this.
Hey, Lion-O, calm down. Get a hold of yourself.
Something's wrong. The whisker looks out of control.
So we have this great scene with Lion-O and Snarfer in the whisker, and he is trying to repair things. And again, we have not seen Lion-O in this situation before. And great acting by Larry, great voice editing, whatever it was. The whole look of Lion-O grabbing the wheel and that voiceover of, I can't do it, I don't know what to do. It was so effective.
Lion-O, do something, anything!
No, I can't. Too many decisions to make. I can't think.
I don't know what's wrong with you, Lion-O, but we better land this thing fast!
You know, we see Snarfer saying, "What's happening, Lion-O? You know, what's going on?" And I thought, again, a very, very cool, beautifully drawn, animated, voiced scene with Lion-O in the whisker. It really showed the lack of confidence and the effects of the water.
And it felt like a real internal monologue of someone having a panic.
Yes, close up, the face, the eyes, the look of shock. This is where, again, we have to thank Dennis, because we get Jagara actually in action. She's not working. She's not stuck with the gyroscope. You know, they let her out.
Hopefully she
finally.
hired somebody else.
Yeah, she has somebody else working.
She's got
right.
Screwloose is there working.
See, she's telling him, peace out, I'm taking a break.
But she wasn't even breaking because she was transporting things back and forth. But she's noticing what's happening, and she's outside with Tor, and Panthro, I want to say, is there as well. And they're seeing that the whisker is going over back and forth, and it ends up crashing. And our heroes run over. And Snarfer, I love this, he guides Lion-O by the hand out of the whisker. And he's like, "It's okay now.
Come, Lion-O, everything's okay. You're safe now."
No, it's not okay. The whisker's ruined, and it's my fault. Easy, Lion-O. We've got you. What's happening?
Tor, get some water.
Snarf and Snarfer always get, the Scrappy-Doo treatment, as they say. They're
annoying.
They're annoying. I mean,
blah, blah, blah.
Right.
I don't think you've ever had that either. Well, maybe David. No, I'm just joking.
No, I would let's here nor there. Snarf was Lion-O's nursemaid and took care of him when he had no parents. So I mean, that to me is like an adoptive parent, which I am an adoptive parent, so I love him.
So we never had that issue, but again, it just shows how loving these Snarfs are. I just love little moments where he's guiding him by the hand. It's very quick. It's just a cute moment for me as a fan.
I love that he's the littlest character, but he's also like he's taking charge, and he's like super fierce the whole time. Like he jumps and takes control of the whisker when they're learning about the Tor being an indentured servant. He's he's pissed off, and he's standing there with his arms crossed, I appreciate that how Snarfer is portrayed here as like an equal and like just as fierce and capable as anybody else. I agree with Ryan that I've never had an issue with the Snarfs. They feel like a real valuable part of the show to me. I think some adults just have a stick up their butt about.
No, he annoyed the hell out of me, but in the context of the show, he was a positive aspect to the show. I mean, he had like you say, he was not nursemaid. He was like a stepmother, almost parent to Lionel, and very protective of Lionel. He would do anything for Lionel, and he would, throw down his life for Lionel. No, there was, there was pure love there. So yeah.
Well,
still annoyed the hell out of me.
But I do agree because he was very stubborn and judgmental too in ways. So I agree.
Catty.
with
He could be catty.
He could be catty. No pun intended.
Yeah, literally intended. So this is where it all begins, and I say Jagara steals the show.
Finally, thank you. Justice for Jagara.
Really? I mean, honestly, just doing everything. So Lionel's disheveled, and they're going to pour him another cooling glass of fresh water because, why not? I would be asking. And I love this. He didn't have to get another dose. Jagara uses her magic. She sees the shine. That water is glistening. It is the horrible well of doubt water. And she just shocks that glass, breaks it before he can drink it. Love it. Love it. The drama.
And she tells you, Lionel, I told you not to take drinks from random strangers at the bar.
No. Oh, no. Oh, poor Tor. Tor, he knows. He's so kind.
Snuffer, what happened?
I don't know. Everything was fine. Then Lionel just lost it. Yep, he lost it bad.
That's not like Lionel at all.
Here's the water, Panthro.
Stop!
Jagara! What in the name of Jogga was that all about?
My mystic powers revealed that the water was from the well of doubt. Anyone who drinks that evil liquid will lose their self-confidence, doubt their own abilities.
Oh, that's exactly what happened. Where did that water come from?
The Baron. This was the water bag that Baron Tass filled. He did this to Lionel.
So she tells them that this is the well of doubt, that anyone that drinks it will start to doubt themselves. And Snarfer says that must have been what happened, because that's sure enough what happened in the Whisker.
Yeah. Well, just her knowing that, it's like, and then the group says, well, how did he get the water? The bad guy.
And right on
the bad guy.
He shows up with his goons, his stone giants in tow, ready for a confrontation.
Luckily, they were looking the other way, because I always hate those sort of things. Hey, like 2 stories high, and
not even a shadow, right?
It's like you could probably hear him creaking because there's stones,
leaving boulders,
or the ground shaking.
Yeah, ground shaking. No, we'll say they were distracted by the Whisker crashing. That's what we're gonna say, right? That's what's gonna happen. The whole crash.
Yes.
The boom.
Yes.
This is where Jagara again shows her magic. She has Panthro, Tor, Lionel, Snarfer around her, and as these giants are approaching, she creates a force field.
She also rescues Lionel from getting crushed first.
Yes, thank you. Yes.
And then
Panthro. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I gotta call her this, a badass character, and we have not seen this at all from her. Again, all we knew from her was that she was stressed because she worked 24 hours, 7 days a week, which we've been
since eternity
began. And now Dennis actually is showing off her powers. Dennis, do you remember if that was a conscious effort on your part to show her doing something?
I like the character, of course. So she had to do something, and there was something along the line. They say she was some kind of wizard, and she got the name Jagara, so she must have had something to do like Jaga, of having some kind of power. So I thought they were sister and brother when they first came about. So I said, we got to use her somehow. We got to get at her some way. Let's give her a little power here.
That's
and it's also brought back some of the Good Witch bubble type of thing. That it was if it was strong enough to hold him, for her to transfer her and Tor around, then it must be strong enough to resist the and that was sort of a setup, using that at the beginning, and then her using another sort of bubble.
I think that's genius. And again, it shows this show particularly always creates, and you know, we did speak a little on Peter on his podcast about female characters, and this character really does the most action in the last half. As viewers, it's fantastic to see these female characters doing these things, being in the action, progressing the storyline, and you know, Chitara, Wily Kit, and now a character like Jagara. So again, I thank you so much for letting her do something, you know, and not just stand around and do what a lot of other, I feel like maybe even writers would have done, just what she had up until this point. Oh my goodness, you know, like that's what she was really up to this point, like almost like I'm so stressed. Now she's actually doing stuff, and I just love that.
Yeah, that was awesome. And it was another layer of the whole. It was good, and it was good action for the story.
Yes. So our two stone giants are approaching. And Jagara can't hold this forever, this force field. You know, eventually...
She's like, you better start doing something. Let's go.
Can any other can Pam throw? No.
You figure something else out now. Come on.
So she's attempting to hold the force field. I want to say that, is it Tor that says something? Or Snarfer? Is it Snarfer that, where's your Thundercat spirit? Is that what he says?
Yeah.
Yeah, because Lion-O's like, we can surrender. That's something we could do. Yeah, Starfur says, where's your Thundercat spirit?
Yes, Dennis.
And that's when Jagara jumps in to say, yeah, come on, guys, we got to get buck up.
The wisdom.
And
because Jaga is nowhere to be seen. He got Claudus and took off. It's like, oh, I got a new spirit friend. Now he's with me in the... wherever the great hereafter. Bye, Lion-O. You ain't going to see me no more.
They got to wait for their Yoda, you know, to come... But, and this is something that Zack and I were speaking of the other night. This moment with Jagara is honestly breathtaking. I don't know. I can't describe it any other way. As a fan, it is so cool to have her have this speech.
It's one of those empowering speeches, one of those unity moments.
Yes, calling. And Tor, again, isn't a Thundercat officially, right? He just represents their people. Mm-hmm. And she says this amazing quote, feel the common bond of your people through the Sword of Omens. Feel the strength in the eye of Thundera. I'm not doing it justice by any means. We'll play the clip of the actual performance.
My spear won't protect us for long. We must do something fast.
The Sword of Omens! Lion-O! We need you to use the Sword of Omens! That'll show him!
I can't help. I'll fail again.
Destroy them! Crush them!
We can't take this for long.
Maybe we should surrender?
No way, Lion-O! How can you say that? Where's your Thundercat spirit?
Thundercat spirit! That's it, Snapper! That's the key! Everyone grab hold of the sword! Lion-O, listen to us! Your people are in great danger! They need you! Feel the common bond of your people through the Sword of Omens! Feel the strength in the eye of Thundera!
Look, it's a sword.
My goodness. And Zack, I mean, I know you were feeling the same exact way. The performance, the act, the way it was animated.
Like, and it's also like, yes, Jerry and Raphael's performance is fantastic. It's like really like, we don't get a lot of her, right? She doesn't play too many characters. So what, like, she really can deliver. But I think that the speech itself, it's short, but it's also really like thematically rich. Like if she's using the sword and the eye to like represent that sort of common, that common bond, that like fellow man thing. I'm not saying this very well, but like the idea that what frees Lion-O is the camaraderie of his people, of his countrymen, I think is really
and maybe
thematically
Dennis could speak to this.
Show.
Wouldn't you also could argue the fact that Tor being there is also is the moment that he is finally, again, maybe I'm reading into it, but free from, we're talking about him being free from being an indentured serf, free from this tyrant, this slave master, so to speak, because that's really what he is without saying it. Like, he's finally free.
And
like,
empowering.
This is through his countrymen, these other people that have joined together, and finally this is it. This is like the line in the sand, so to speak. We kind of,
well, it's more indication of he's representing the other Thunderians, who are not, quote, ThunderCats, but the equality, and that it takes the equality of all of them to combat evil.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So
that's
part of it.
And that is what we love about ThunderCats. The fact that this group of people, they're all different. They're all different cat species, types. But the friendship and the love that they have for each other is amazing.
And they're fighting against the magic of a man who doesn't believe in the common good or even in the notion of a fair society.
He has no morals. He's morally corrupt, it's just like he doesn't value anything. It seems like he just, I guess, money is his god, so to speak. I guess for lack of I don't know.
And if you want to even look at it, his army is not even human or flesh and blood. It's stone. Yeah.
See, the layers. I love that. Yeah. So, speaking of that, Lion-O is endowed with the power of his community, his people, and I just love that. Again, the whole moment. And something Zack had said in our previous episode that didn't air yet, but he mentioned that this felt almost like it could have been the series finale. And having moments like this felt like a series finale moment. Of course, you would want maybe, more of the team if it was the last. But to me, this would have been a great season finale. Series finale. I totally agree with Zack. Because even moments like this shows you what the whole thing is about. The people.
The loyalty, the friendship, all of that Code of Thundera.
The Code of Thundera. Yeah. So, Lion-O regains his strength, and he uses the Sword of Omens, and he creates great art as well. I love this whole... He casts a shadow, basically. Dark clouds come around and circle the Baron and his minions. A storm comes down. The giants dissolve into rock into the dirt. And the book with the names of everybody that is tasked for him is disintegrated and destroyed at the same time.
Which was also great
symbolism. Great symbolism that this is the fresh start. It's gone. Even the book is gone. Yeah. And the storm ends, and the sun comes out.
The Baron is like, make it stop. The Baron really doesn't like to be wet, I guess. He doesn't like the rain.
It doesn't help his hair. It frizzes.
Well, he's a cat. I guess cats like to get wet, right?
Way to go, Lion-O!
Thank you, Snarfer. I'd say the Baron's chances of ruling New Thundera are all washed up.
ThunderCats! Ho!
ThunderCats!
We find out that he and Mr. Grubber will be taken to what we assume is some kind of, court system that's been in place, maybe similar to what they set up on Third Earth before they left.
It's been a good part to get Mandora.
Oh, no, they probably would have screamed at Dennis. Not another character, no, right? That's what I'm thinking, probably. And.
Oh, the circus train comes back.
That would have been good.
That circus train has gotten around recently.
Come see the Grubber and Baron.
Mr. Grubber and Baron. The wrap-up is really cute because we have Jagara and Lion-O and Snarfer. We all love, I feel like, puns on this show, right? Yeah. We love a good pun, and we get a few well ones here with Snarfer. Yeah. They're well jokes. And then I love, oh well, at the end. Jagara says for that, and she leaves. She takes Lion-O, and they go in the bubble, and they go off.
Yeah,
you can walk home for that comment.
Yeah. You can walk home.
Well, that should do it, Lion-O. The Well of Doubt is sealed. Good, Tor. Let's hope it stays that way for all eternity.
It sure caused us enough trouble. I guess you'll never doubt yourself again.
I wouldn't bet on that.
That's right, Snarfer. Everyone has self-doubt sometimes. The well's water only heightens the feeling to an uncontrollable degree. I think Lion-O would have snapped out of it all by himself eventually.
Well, maybe. But there's nothing like friends to help you through rough times. We're all finished here, Lion-O. I'll be taking these two back to the camp to face judgment for their evil deeds. Time to go, Snarfer.
All's well that ends well.
Ooh.
For that remark, you can walk back.
What's wrong? Can't you take a joke? Oh, well. Get it? Hey, wait for me. Come on,
And you know what? It's always funny because we always mention there's that wrap-up moment. You get a good laugh at the end, right? You know, there's always going to be a chuckle. And this went right with the story. Like, it didn't, miss a beat because you tied the well back into it even at the end. So, fantastic. And then the follow-up of, oh, wow.
Yeah.
I like that. The other part of the wrap-up is that they're sealing up the well, right? So
the important part.
The old ways are dead. Like, they probably should have just blown it up, but sealing up the entrance is making them physically do it.
Yes, make them do it.
And then we also get the stated labor.
Actually, I did appreciate that they were involved with the ceiling.
I thought so too. I liked it. Make them work for it.
We also get Lion-O talking about doubt and how everyone feels doubt like that sometimes, but that he says there's nothing like friends to help you through rough times, which I think ties back to the
whole message of the episode.
To the whole message of the episode. Drawing strength from your friends, or sometimes the greatest strength can come from from friendship.
We hope
just from us doing this podcast alone, the people that we have met, and we say this is a broken record. Sorry, bunglers, or you beautiful bunglers, as we say. But even the friendships, like meeting Zack here, just from doing this and connecting with ThunderCats, it's more than a show, really. If you meet the community, and it's just a blessing to have in our lives, truly.
It has been.
And then adding Dennis on top to after this 5-year journey of doing these episodes, to be able to have Dennis on the second to last episode, getting to talk to him. Yeah. Seeing his art, the things that he has is just unbelievable. So again, it's the power of the community. Because if it wasn't for the podcast community that we've had of the people supporting us, we probably never would have continued and done every 130 episodes.
No, yeah.
So again, friendship and
the
camaraderie,
the friendship, the support, just the fact of just having people that have this common experience that we've had, and the love and just the kind of I don't care. We always get told by people, oh, you're kind of you're cheesy, or maybe you're a little sentimental. I really don't care. I am, and I will wear that as a badge of honor, because this has shaped who I am. And like I said, the friendships and the people that we meet along the way, that's what you take with you. You're not taking I'm not taking
Mr. Grubber's money.
I'm not taking Mr. Grubber's money with me or anything else. I'm taking those memories and the love and the friendships and the amazing experiences that we've had and the people we've spoken to, and just getting to see like things that you've shared with us. We would have never been able to see. That just brings joy. I could see when you were showing the cells and everything to Zack, is like his eyes are like, it just even seeing him lighting up what you're showing it, and he's like, look what I was touching you, I got this and you had this, and it's like so it's like, to me it's just I don't know, I can't say enough about it. It's just an amazing experience to have, and as we've done this, it's bittersweet that we're coming to the end of this particular journey, a part of it. We are going to go on and do the other less loved maybe versions, but we're
I know
yes, but but yeah, it's been amazing.
So we do two things before we wrap up each episode. We have to rate this episode on our appropriately named hoe scale at 1 to 4 hoes.
Okay.
Oh, excuse me, 1 to 5 hoes. Oh God, excuse me. I don't
hoes.
even know our own host scale after all these years. 5 hoes. Dennis, am known to do, point scale.
We do
point
partial.
scale.
Yeah,
So,
we do little hoe pieces. We don't do full.
But who wants to go first? It's a high score for me, so.
I'm going to put Zack in the hot seat. You first, Zack.
So, Ryan, you said this earlier. For me, this episode, because of where it falls in the series, really does feel like a thematic finale. A lot of television shows, right? They'll have the like next to last episode that like is like ties up some character stuff, and then the big finale is like the big action piece. And that's kind of what happens with Thundercats. This episode to me really does feel like that thematic bow on the whole show. I think if this episode had happened in the middle of season 1 or like a year earlier, I might not feel so attached to it and think of so like I might say 4 or 4.5 hoes out of 5, but this is absolutely one of my favorite episodes, Dennis. It's not just because you're here. It's always been one of my favorites. It is 5 out of 5 for me. I think the guardsmen are the thing that I was like, until you said they were clay, I actually didn't get it.
Yes.
I didn't understand how they were destroyed, or even I didn't really find them all that intimidating. I wanted them to be a lot bigger and like feel more dangerous. But that's like a tiny criticism. Like, and now that I know they're clay, it makes sense.
Remember, my vision was a whole army of them.
Oh, that's right, because that's what they
they were
discovered
from
in
the
China.
Paragata army
Yeah.
from China. But they said no.
How about 2? That sounds like a good
just
number.
give you 2? That's a good number. That's a good number.
How about 2? An army 2. Why not? A pair.
Thank you.
I have to follow that up. I would give it a 4.89 out of 5. Honestly, I was going to give it 5.
I don't do decimals.
Only because I don't want to be accused of favoritism. No. Honestly, it would be it's almost a perfect episode for me. Truly. Because of, and I hate to say this, the last few episodes in this final season, not all of them have been what you would want for a final season. They haven't been stellar. No. Frogman being one of them. Unfortunately.
You just keep going back to that poor Frogman.
Well, I know you weren't a big fan of
enormous. You feel like enormous.
Enormous Immortus. That one, I don't know why that one tentacle threw me off.
If there had been 2 tentacles, it would have
because
been,
I love the idea of the stone. I would want him. I don't know. I would say almost a perfect. Basically a 4.9 out of 5. Everything I would want for a final season episode, giving us Lion-O in a position we haven't found him in maybe since the beginning, if even, lacking this confidence. And Jagara, as a Jagara fan, this is her best episode, her last, but her best. So
she does something. It's an animation thing. I don't know if it was who thought of it, but when everyone else is like has their hands in the air, she has the like old school Thundercat salute across. Yeah,
I know. It's a great detail.
It's a little detail.
Thank you for bringing that up. A matter of fact.
Yeah.
David?
So for me, there's so much about this episode that I loved. I loved the action of it. I loved Jagara actually being part of the action.
Yes.
I loved the fact that you have the refugees. I love the plight of the refugees.
Yes.
I love the fact of the animation. I loved the fact that you have a character that I feel like could have been a new Thundercat.
Yes. I always wonder if it went on another season. What could have happened?
I love that there was a lot of continuity and down to the electrocution of a Snarf. So, and I kind of want to mirror what Zack said. I feel like if abruptly we stopped, because let's be honest, we know that this is the end of the road. It's one more episode, right?
Yes.
So we know that. So if this was the last episode, I would gladly take it, knowing that this is the end of the road.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to split hairs because I was there.
Fine, I'll give it a 5
I was
too.
there. I was there anyway. I'm going to say, and again, and I will say, having you here
Well, it will be something forever remembered for all
let's
of
put
us.
it this way. Having you here and explaining certain things definitely helps add to it, but knowing your mindset when you wrote it definitely adds to the overall experience.
Yes.
I was like that. I was at a 4.95 anyway. So for me, it's a 5 because of a lot of it. And honestly, again, I could get all misty eyed and get all weepy because that's how the person I am. But like, it's funny how, again, the good writing, and unfortunately sometimes in life we take 10 steps forward and 20 steps back in society. And I feel like even now these days, the way the world is, we are experiencing some of that. And I'm not the type of person that gets on my soapbox other than the fact that I like to just bring people together, and we never we try to talk about bad things or injustice. We just want people to have like mindless entertainment and enjoy and reminisce about, but talking about indentured servants and, lack of a better word, slavery, and lack of a better word, displaced people, and the horrors of life and what people experience. Horrible note I hate to bring that. I'm not trying to make this a negative thing. To me, this is very, very true to what's going on right now, and it means a lot because it shaped me as a child. This is one of those things that shaped me as a child. So to me, it's a 5 because alone, just the social awareness of it. We've talked about this even too with the ecological things that were discussed with ThunderCats before, even before there was a Captain Planet, even before people were recycling or whatever, like the little things that we started doing this when we were kids and thinking that was what we were supposed to be doing. There were people out there thinking ahead of time. There were people that were thinking that, and who would have thought 40 years later, we're talking about these things and there is social conscience to it that still rings true. Like, I would have thought we'd be past certain things, but unfortunately maybe we're not, but there is hope. So within that context of hope and the fact that maybe these ThunderCats, even though they are cartoons, did learn something. The Lion-O and the people did learn. To me, it's a 5.
Well,
it's a 5. And their series could end right now.
Well,
roll the curtains.
I thank all of you for this.
This means quite a lot to us too, so thank you.
I mean, in my career, I think back on it. I mean, I've heard what you've said from very successful comic book artists, independent comic book artists. I was at a seminar and they were giving a talk, and I was introduced to them and told I worked on ThunderCats, and they said exactly what you said. They were latchkey kids. Excuse me. Latchkey kids who watched the ThunderCats, and it gave them hope. Yeah. We didn't know we were doing that. Yeah. We were just doing a job. But it makes me feel very proud to be part of the legacy of the ThunderCats.
And David said this earlier. Respecting the intelligence of children, of the young people, is so important in media. I work in theater for young audiences. That's what I do for a living. And it's so fundamental to my day-to-day, like respecting the intelligence of young people. And I think maybe that the reason I realized how important it is because I had media like this that respected me as a young person.
We did have it, Dr. Cursis, I believe his name.
Cursis.
We had him go through our scripts to make sure they were appropriate for age and for actions. There is, I know that now, if you watch like the comics or something on Lion-O, or maybe even the 2011, there's more violence in it, and there's actual swords striking people, where in our series it was much tamer. It was symbolic. That sword was basically a symbolic beacon, if you want, as a beacon for hope and justice, and that's what it was. It wasn't necessarily a weapon. I mean, yes, it would shoot out beams of light, but rarely did it actually strike anything, except for maybe the Moss Monster because his arm blew back.
Sure did.
That was it. But it was mostly about instilling a sense of purpose, a sense of friendship, a sense of love for your fellow man. That's what the show was about. So I was very proud to be part of it and to add whatever I could.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Truly, thank you. And down to your beautiful art and character designs that just gorgeous. I don't want to forget the other thing we have to do, which is our bungler on a So this our biggest bungler of the episode. This is the person or character that might have messed up the most. Could have done something that changed the plot, or made it easier, or a mess up that the villain did. Or if they did this, they could have done. Honestly, it could be anything.
Like oftentimes we're like, well, mumm-ra was too cocky and he messed up by like leaving something open, and that's why the ThunderCats prevailed this time, or because of the mutants were too, arrogant, or they were fighting amongst themselves instead of fighting together.
You are a worthless, bungling idiots! Bunglers! You bungler! Once again, you have failed. You bungled it!
This is one of the hardest bunglers for
ones.
me, because as we're just saying, it's a perfect episode. I'm thinking, well, what could someone have done differently? They basically did what they could have done. So you want to start?
I have a list, but they're weak. So you want to throw it out there?
Yeah, because I couldn't come.
All right, I'm throwing it out there. You tell me if I'm grasping at straws. And you can correct me, because there's one that I'm like, maybe they didn't know. Snarfer did not recognize Lion-O acting strangely early on. So he could have, maybe if he would act thinking something was wrong and maybe addressing it sooner, maybe they could have realized something was off with him to begin with. Okay. Tor not explaining that Baron has power over people previously before. I don't know if he knew consciously. He could have said, by the way, this man enslaves people. He has some kind of weird power. I don't know, because I think we talked about how that's how he controlled people. So I don't know if he consciously knew that. Baron, his arrogance, thinking that he's strong enough to take on the ThunderCats and the community, and thinking that he was going to, just because he gave Lion-O water, that he was going to take out just the leader and everyone else was going to fall in line. So his actual arrogance. And then I put Jaga for not showing up and aiding Lion-O and saying, the power is in you, Lion-O, like he always does. Give me his little pep talk and saying, wake up.
Yeah.
He's on vacation.
Why did you drink the water to get? Don't you know when you drink that water, Lion-O? I'm gonna be judgmental, Jaga. Those are the ones I came up with.
The ghost world is very vast.
He was visiting somebody, a friend.
He was like, maybe he was in the mirror.
Yeah,
Claude is having a drink somewhere.
Maybe he was in the mirror. Maybe he was visiting Jigara with Wizra.
Oh, well.
Well.
Honestly, the cherry on top of Jigara's amazingness in this whole episode would have been maybe if she cushioned the blow of the whisker falling.
So you're playing property damage. You wanted her to keep from property damage.
No, almost maybe if she surrounded the whisker so to grace it from falling down. But I think everyone was shocked.
I didn't see. Did she show up before it crashed?
So you think the biggest bungle of the whole thing is that she didn't stop property damage?
That's the only thing I could think of, because I think
is she, Farmers Insurance?
I think everyone did everything right. So I'm like, all right, if I had to come up with one.
She's like, I will make you whole for not putting a magic bubble over this whisker.
Maybe she didn't, but maybe she didn't even think it was going to crash. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
So that's what I'm going to say.
Yeah. Gentlemen, any other bungle that you can think of?
I also had tasks on my list for thinking, like you said, David, that taking down Lion-O would be enough.
Yes,
but
right.
That's sort of typical hubris, right?
Yeah, but not to bring reality into it, but we have that happening right now. Okay? Parent Task is just the same mold.
Yep.
Yeah.
But he's not orange.
My other one, and this is a stretch, but I can't help but wonder how someone like Tass was able to operate on Old Thundera, and how the ThunderCats, how Claudius and Jaga could have not seen these sorts of things happening.
But were they like that? Did they hide behind this
years and years
patriarchy,
ago?
This caste system? Because it seems like they were like that. I feel like they were like that too, right?
Because most castes, it's not that they were most like that, but they were probably benefiting from it. As in our history.
Yeah.
The power structure will look the other way when they're benefiting from the indentured servant and slavery of people. It's helping their economic status. Okay, so it's possible. Like you say, they're not all angels.
Right, and there's always there's performative outrage. Like Panthro can say, "Oh, it's horrible," but he was part of the system.
Well, let's be honest. Yeah,
they're all part of the system.
Yeah.
It's almost like a softer version of Game of Thrones.
I mean, those burbles did build Cat's Lair.
Animals.
Originally, yeah, the first-
Original.
and then the Snarfs did the new.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I
the
mean,
Snarfs
I'm not
were
going to say
enslaved, too.
you ain't heard that from me because I ain't one to gossip.
But that's what the word is. That's the word on the street. Yeah. Yeah.
The word on the street is
Word on the street.
Yeah, word of the village is things
Word on
might
the
not have
they
been
didn't do it for some candy fruit.
some certain things might. No, but you know what? I think that's really it shows more that this new Thundera with Lion-O
Is a better
is
place
a
to
better
live.
place, and this is hopefully.
But if none of this happened and the planet didn't explode and he didn't have to live fighting mutants from a very young age in a man's body with a mind of a child, growing up in a different way,
Yes, could have been.
maybe it just would have been same old business because it would have just been the way he grew up.
Yeah, that's
Just
very
like
true.
children don't grow up hating
Yeah,
other
as a
people
prince.
unless they're taught it. You don't come out unless you're like The Exorcist. You don't come out evil, as far as I know.
Rosemary's Baby.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Like you don't come out evil.
Yeah.
Most of the time, and maybe once in a blue moon, but you know.
Malcor he got adopted
I mean,
into a nice family.
He did get adopted into a nice family.
You never sort of
Yes.
filmed The Bad Seed?
Yes. My grandpa.
That's a bad seed, that one, right?
My children read that book. Yep.
If you go just on a tangent, that movie, the end of it, they make the characters come out like it's a play so that the audience will realize,
Yes.
hey, no one got killed here. That kid didn't do that.
Smart.
It's like it didn't really happen. Literally, you watch the end of the movie and they come out like it's a play. Everyone comes out and takes a bow.
Wow.
Sometimes I think if it's shown on TV, they might cut that part. But if you watch the original cut of it, they had to basically assure the audience, like, yeah, no one got killed. She didn't kill Grandma.
Not Grandma.
It's really a tough movie.
We might have to watch it, Not for Radical, but separately on our own, not for the podcast.
We have watched Stranger Things.
Yeah,
not the series, just Strange Things in general.
And the series, but not.
So, what is our consensus? Are we going with Jagara should work for State Farm Insurance?
Mine was just random. No, I think we'll go with the Baron. His cockiness,
hubris, his
fact
arrogance.
That I think that's the perfect.
I think but that has been an ongoing theme because Mumm-ra's arrogance, the mutants' arrogance, the lunatics. I mean, it's like if they learned to work together and not fight each other, they probably would have gotten further.
100%, multiple times.
And in his case, he's only got the sniveling Mr. Gruber, but I mean, still, his arrogance and Grooby Grubber. He's a
Grover, Mr.
He's a grubby Gruber.
Yeah.
He's like the mean one, Mr. Grinch.
Yeah.
What, do you agree, Dennis?
Yeah.
Since you are the expert.
Yeah. And he was a bad guy to the core. Narcissistic and, thought he would need it's his way or the highway.
This, again, coming at the end of the line has just been beyond an honor.
Yes.
Truly.
Amazing.
Just your
Thank you.
giving us your
energy,
time, your passion, your enthusiasm, and just... Had we known
the toys too, even just seeing all the stuff too is amazing. I love it.
I'm looking at the recording timing, and it's 3 hours and a half. You guys talking about?
Believe me, in the editing too is my goodness.
I'm leaving that to you.
I look at the time and I go, oh my goodness, how am I going to edit?
And then we add clips too.
And then we add clips. And I still got a 3-hour one for the week after here, but right before this one, that's going to be fun. No, but this is beyond an honor. Every moment that we had, it's another honor, and we've gone over the time too that we were supposed to for you. I'm sorry, we're taking up your time even. Please, Bunglers, follow Dennis on his. Well, first off, we're going to have his blog. His YouTube channel is amazing. You will see some of these behind the scenes things. Many many things that you've heard Dennis speak of are on his website, the YouTube channel, and beyond. So we will have all of his links below. And please support him how he has supported us and fellow fans.
So if you could tell them, if they go to my blogger, since it's an old sort of system, just go up into the search and just put ThunderCats and it'll clean up.
But if you're interested in hearing more about Dennis and his life in general, it is on there as well. So maybe before you search for ThunderCats, take a look at
I was just thinking Buddha could do a whole book on all the stuff that he's done with all the different characters
Dennis,
and all the different
things that he's done. So
it's crazy.
I mean, again, please check that out because he gave his time to actually put these things on for fans, and it's a time capsule in itself. So please check that out.
It's pretty phenomenal.
And Dennis, honestly, I think truly we're going to do that Eartha Kitt, Vanessa Williams Christmas movie in December. So
I have quoted Eartha Kitt before.
Yes,
to be honest with you, you're gonna laugh. I have quoted Eartha Kitt before. People think I actually have some. Of
She's
her
my
CDs.
favorite '60s Catwoman.
Well, she is the only Catwoman. I'm sorry, Julie. What's the other?
Julie Newmar, but
I mean, I love her, but yeah,
I
to me,
love
Catwoman
her.
is like
Julie Newmar.
for all different reasons.
I like each
yes.
one, actually.
I always liked her because no one can go.
Well, it's just
Eartha
like
Kitt.
I don't know. Eartha Kitt is just something about like I don't know.
And I love that she was Catwoman. It was nothing like it was. She was just Catwoman.
That could be a whole nother. That
That
could be a whole nother.
Right. Anyway,
thing, but
please follow Dennis. Again, his links will be in the description box below. This has just been beyond a blessing, truly, and an honor. Thank you so much, truly.
Thank you.
No, just another big thank you. And Dennis, if there's anything else you want to share, please do.
Well, just thank you for being a custodian of these cells. I really appreciate that.
Please, we will shout it out to our listeners and let them know, and we would love to support you.
And if you ever want to share anything, please just come back or even anything. We won't keep you hostage.
No,
for
we
4
won't
hours.
keep you for 4 hours. But we are going to continue ThunderCats. I mean, we're going to keep even beyond this. We're going to try to maybe even do like a monthly, after all the shows are done, news ThunderCats kind of thing. So we would love to in the future as well.
Well, keep pressure on Super 7 to bring the other characters.
Definitely. Shadow Master
and the Boiler.
We need a
Shadow Master, Leah, 3-pack, Mirror Wraith, the doll. We got planned. We got. Oh,
two-time.
I've wanted a 2-time toy forever.
A deluxe,
and the fact that I mean, that's kind of a really cool. That's a really cool design in itself, and a really neat idea. It's like
very 80s too. Would have been perfect for the LJN toy line had it gone on. So thank you again so much to our amazing guest Dennis J. Woodyard for not only his time, for being a part of our childhood and beyond. I mean, till today, he's still just getting to talk to him. So thank you so much. Oh, thank you, truly.
You're welcome.
And then, as we always say, we end with the call of our people. ThunderCats, ho, ho.
Don't call me a hoe.
Happens every time. It happens every time.
They call me a hoe. It's like it's tradition.
It's clockwork at this point.
Who you calling a hoe?
Bye-bye, everybody.
Thunder, 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 thunder,